Good afternoon. I would like to call this workshop to order at 2 p.m. We'll start with our presentations. Item number 1, 26-3801, review and tentative approval of the volunteer handbook by Mr. Pagan, Director of Safe Schools. Welcome. Before you begin, Board, Mr. Pagan provided us with a summary of revisions to the Office of Safe Schools Visitor and Volunteer Handbook. Do we have any questions on that, or do we want him to go over every single thing that was modified?
I don't have questions.
Ms. Rodriguez?
No, I think we've spoke. We're good.
Yes. I'm good. So no
Do you want-
questions? Okay. All right.
Do you have
Okay.
anything?
Do you want to have any comments?
Do you have anything you'd like to tell
Well,
us?
no, I was just going to say good afternoon to actually Madam Chair, board members, and Mr. Superintendent Pinder. And there was a lot of work put into this, and I'm hoping that this is the last time that we actually addressing this volunteer handbook. We put a lot of effort. A lot of people were involved in the feedback. And so hopefully this will clarify a lot of the issues that we've been having in the past. So I'm hoping this is going to work this time around for everyone to understand what we're trying to do for volunteers in our district.
Thank you for the clarification between the visitor and level 1 and level 2.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Mr. Johnson, do you?
Yeah, I appreciate that too. That'll solve a lot of the grief you had this year.
Yeah.
You know, with some people's husbands and other people, other actors who came in that were there for one day.
Yes.
So that's much appreciated.
Okay.
Now, how are you going to disseminate that so that gets out to everybody?
There is a link in our website on the Office of Safe Schools. So when you do apply, or if you don't apply, there will be a link for it to you be able to see.
Are you also going to do a professional development on that at the beginning of the school year so people know?
Likely.
Especially the front desks?
There's various ways that we can probably do this and make sure that everyone understanding, including our administrators. So we'll explore that. We still have the whole summer trying to get there with
Good.
various things that we're doing, but
I know
we'll
you
get there.
can. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Superintendent Pinder?
So I just wanted to thank Angel too, because I know that when we originally looked at I went through it with the eye of, okay, if I didn't know anything about this, how does it flow? How does one thing lead to another? And they did a really good job, I think, of trying to make it flow better. Over the years, I think there's been a patchwork of additions as we've had new laws. So them making it seems like it flows a lot better and addresses some of the things that we needed to. So I wanted to thank your group for working on that so diligently. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then you did post places for families to go receive their level 1
Yes.
parents, correct?
Yes.
And that's on our Facebook page, Hernando County Schools Facebook
Well, I
page.
did get with the Director of Communications, Aaron Element, to do that social media site.
It went out
of
on
that.
Parent Square, and I believe it was a tag at some point on the website. I don't know if it's because they roll off after a while, but it went out on Parent Square to all of our parents.
Yeah.
I did not receive it on Parent Square. I actually checked.
You have. I'll follow up after this.
But I found it on social media.
Okay.
So we need to send that out on Parent Square as
I'll
well.
follow up.
I know that we have lots that are excited about the bright orange color badge.
Yeah.
It's great. But every year, can you explain why we changed the color?
Well, actually, we want to make sure that we are able to identify that we have the new correct card around campus. It's very easy between all various types of identification that there is that someone doesn't come in our campus and have an expired volunteer badge that we haven't vetted correctly and create.
So every year, the color will change. That way we can
Yes.
Yeah.
clarify.
It's just easy. If it's
Identify.
orange, you're good. If it's not orange, it's out of date. It's just a quick visual
Correct.
way to identify.
And we
that.
do that for the contractor badges at the end of the year as well. We change the colors on it. So we just look for various ways to make sure that we're able to identify that it's the current year and no one's on campus with an expired card.
Thank you. And can you also, just for the record, state when they come in as a visitor and they use their license, that there's still a check on that as far as security on their license, and it will notify the front desk if they can come in as a visitor as well.
Correct, and that's for, they do a sexual offender status check, predator, and they'll check that background. But that's the most they would do under that driver's ID, government ID that's provided. But if we have someone that's excluded for trespass or something of that nature where there was an incident at the school, we'll also be able to detect that.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys have any more questions or comments? All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Have a great
good
day.
Thank you.
Item number 2, 26-3857, review and tentative approval of the 26-27 athletic handbook by Mr. Kupchak, District Athletic Director. Sorry about that. Welcome.
All good. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Pinder. If you'd like me to kind of go through the new proposed rendition, some of the changes, if there's anything in particular you had questions on, I'd love to go over them, or we can go page by page if you'd like. You guys tell me.
Board, would you like him to go through the changes? Have you reviewed the changes? Do you have any questions? Ms. Rodriguez?
We have spoke.
Yep.
I reviewed too. We're good.
I do have one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So on page 50. Oh, the strike through, I think.
Page 15, you said?
50.
I don't have that many pages.
Okay. It actually might be page 5 then. My numbers are weird. It's where you made the modifications for number 6, 7, and 8. General rules for participation and athletic eligibility.
Yes. So that starts on page 5, yes.
Okay, page 5. Okay, so I had spoke with you about this also, but I want to say it again. And I know that we have to follow our student progression plan as far as absentees. But I have a real problem with this, with Nature Coast having the block schedules when a child has 4 unexcused absences, only 4 at Nature Coast because they're a block schedule, then that child is not eligible to play. And that's a semester.
For that semester, correct.
They're not eligible to play sports. So I understand the logic behind it, but I'm not okay with it because other coaches don't hold some kids to that. So over at Weeki that coach may never look at attendance, and then a coach at Nature Coast may. And so that kid is sitting the bench when other kids should be sitting the bench with him, but because their coaches either don't have access or the system is lagged, meaning they turn in a note and it's not turned in the system or showing accurate. It also just causes a lot of extra work on our coaches and ADs to try to keep up with the attendance for athletics. So I don't like it. And I honestly, when the student progression plan comes up, I may ask to change that because it used to just say extracurriculars and then we added and athletics to that. I want to take away the athletics from that. I understand attendance is so important.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
if it could be managed and it could be the same across the board, I would be totally fine with it, but it's not. And also having 4 days at Nature Coast, I understand they're double classes, but like you're holding a kid accountable for maybe their parents making
It's ultimately
them
one
tardy.
calendar day.
Right, and it's a calendar day. So my kid
I
could
understand
miss
what you're
4
saying.
days. I understand the 9 days or 10 days, that is excessive. I get it in a semester, but it is a lot different for a kid that misses 4 calendar days versus 9 calendar days, even though the amount of seat time is the same. And also, even for our middle school kids, some of our kids can't help that their parents make them tardy, or their bus stop is so far away that they can't get to it as far as being safe to get to the bus stop, to ride the bus, to be on time. So I just think, and some of these kids come to school just to play sports, like they live and breathe, like this is their life, and we're holding them back from it because sometimes out of their control. Ms. Rodriguez?
I'll interject on the part about the parents. I think that if we're not careful, that could become a big mess when it comes to allowing an exception because the parents can't get them there on time. That could become a quandary that we could end up in where everybody could just say, well, my parents couldn't get me here. My parents couldn't get me here. So I urge you to be very cautious when we're looking at it from that aspect, because that could become something that is mismanaged and not used properly.
Sure. Yeah, and to your earlier point, Ms. Hawkins, that basically some of those tweaks that were added were just to get in line with the the student progression plan, and what those committees and whatnot have decided upon with our attendance policies.
I know other districts, they follow the FHSA rules, which you have to be in attendance at school to play that day.
To play or practice.
To
correct.
play or practice that day. And they don't specifically have something as detailed as 9 days or 4 days in theirs. So,
Mhm.
Ms. Bonzik?
Can we not just add for the block scheduling? Or any of our other high schools aren't block scheduled, are they?
I believe Nature Coast is the only one.
Nature Coast is the only one. I mean, can we add something that it could be the 9 days instead of, even though, yes, I understand they're missing curriculum time, but that would give you back. You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
If it's the only school and,
Mhm.
instead of the coaches penalizing the kids, I mean, I agree. Parents sometimes are more responsible for their kids than their kids getting to school sometimes. And
Well, there's a variety of things that do pop up. And to Ms. Hawkins' point, sometimes there is a lag. Thank you. I don't know what I did with mine. There is a lag when it comes to some of that with a note, or whether it be because of maybe they're in testing and they didn't realize they were in testing, things like that. So different things do pop up. When it comes to Nature Coast specifically, that's something that I'd have to kind of probably speak to those that are a part of the student progression plan and what that looks like, and making sure we're not we're not contradicting each other, basically. It is an imperfect system. I mean, Ms. Hawkins had that conversation. Attendance is extremely important. You need to get your butt to school. The same thing in athletics. You need to get your butt to practice. You're not going to play. You're not going to win if you're not at practice. Same thing in school. You're not going to succeed if your butt's not in the seat learning. But it is an imperfect system. It is hard to maintain across all 12 schools that carry sports. It does take a lot of time for our athletic directors and coaches to comb through the reports weekly, and
Many don't.
I'm sure many don't.
And I don't blame them. It's so much work. And like we had spoke before, a lot of them don't have access. Some of the coaches actually don't have access to.
The off-campus coaches,
Right.
correct. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge. And we use. I stress to our athletic directors to use sound, reasonable judgment. I think we know when there's a 16, 17, 20 unexcused absences, that's pretty egregious. There's a legitimate problem there. When it's approaching that 9-10 mark or even sooner, let's have that conversation with those kids and say, hey, what's going on here? Is this legitimately unexcused absences, or maybe we need to follow up with the attendance and make sure all the notes are being entered, or maybe a substitute maybe erroneously marked a kid absent, or those types of things. You do catch those. I've experienced that in my time as an on-campus AD, where I dug into some kids' attendance, and yes, some of them were legitimately unexcused and they needed to sit, and there were some that once we dug, we realized, oh, this was just lagging and we needed it to catch up. So it is tough, because it's tough to tell a kid to sit when they really shouldn't have to sit.
Right.
So and again, there's situations for both sides, but
I would just like it to be the same across the board.
understood.
And it's just not feasible to, I don't know. It's just really hard to enforce.
What makes you think it's not the same, so that we know across the board?
Because you have coaches that will have a child sit for their absenteeism, and other coaches that allow them to play.
So how do you enforce that?
So when you brought up WikiWatchy, was that,
It's just an example.
oh, you were just using them
Mhm.
as an example?
Yeah.
So how do you get the coaches to comply? That would be the answer. If the coaches were consistent, as if the teachers are consistent with behavioral issues in the classroom, we'll have a more disciplined student body.
Agreed. I think one of the biggest things is making sure we have the reports, consistently, making sure the reports are the same across the district. I think we get added challenges with coaches versus teachers, because teachers are all there at one time under one roof. Whereas you might have a practice that starts at 2, another one that starts at 4, another one that starts at 7. And we don't have administrators or ADs on our campus 24/7. So being able to properly monitor a kid, like whether or not that kid was at school that day is a challenge. Ultimately, that coach should know that information, and that coach should be a professional and make the right decision and hold that kid accountable and tell him you weren't in school today.
So-
you need to go home.
So
But-
why can't that notice be sent to the coaches by the
I
by
think the
front
daily is not the problem. I think it's keeping up with how many and
Well, it's both.
Across the
When it
both,
comes to our
yeah.
off-campus
Yeah,
coaches, it's
but
both.
the bookkeeper or somebody in the front office of the school should know how many times a kid has been late or absent. And that should be something that
It's tallied,
should
but
be
it's
flagged.
it's the entire student body of that campus, and then you have to go through line by line which kids are on my roster.
I would think
And
you
then,
could
you
do
know.
that with a computer program that would pick up somebody that pops out who's been.
Oh, it marks it.
So
Don't get me wrong, it marks
If
it.
somebody in the front end, the front side of the office, probably has the ability to say, well, this kid now has 10 unexcused absences. Bingo, he cannot play. And if that notice goes out to a coach, it's done. Now we have consistency.
Correct.
I think that's where it has to come from, the front office, not the coach. It has to go to the coach. And maybe hold coaches responsible if that notice went to the coach and that kid is practicing or playing and he's not supposed to. Let's start holding people accountable.
Superintendent Pender, I wanted to let you weigh in really quick. Sorry.
So I think that we need to be careful as a board saying that we're creating policies that people aren't following. That's not a good situation to be in. I think that whatever the decision of the board for whatever this policy or this handbook is going to look like, then it's going to be a procedure that we need to put in place for keeping up that everyone does this. I think if there's words in there that can change in the policy to make it that it'll be checked, twice a week or once a week or once quarterly or something, we can generate a report, I would assume, from Skyward that keeps a running total of
There is.
The
But it's the entire student body of that school. And then, like I said, so it would take someone, who that is, I don't know. In most cases, it's the athletic director every week to comb through that and find the athletes that are
But we
below
can do
the
a
line.
report that's more than equal to or more than whatever that policy is. So if it's 9
Correct.
days, you do a report for 9 days or more from Skyward, it would only be students that are 9 or more. That would create a much smaller list from a school. And then that's a much smaller list of the coaches. I mean, to me, I would put it out, all of my coaches get this list that's emailed to them
Weekly.
through Skyward weekly.
I think-
And then they just look at the roster and, I know it's just, I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do, but we can, I think, make the process and the procedure a little less cumbersome for whatever the board decides that the policy or the handbook language.
Hold on, I'm going to let Ms. Rodriguez go because she was waiting. Sorry.
I think what has to happen is we just need to follow policy. I think ultimately.
Yes.
So whatever we put in the policy, we have the pupil progression plan, that was last board meeting, is we approved that plan at the last meeting. And I think that's.
It's not
what we-
approved yet. It's coming back before the board to be approved, but
That's
the
what-
workshop we did.
That we had a consensus. So I believe that if we stay following the plan, I think that's what we need to do, is remember
Mr.
that
Johnson?
the policy is what we have to follow.
I think we're talking roughly 10 schools out of the district, 5 high schools, middle schools, and the K-8s, right? So there has to be a program that our IT department can put together that would identify who the athletes are and segregate them into a separate report. That should not be something too hard to generate. And then if you put the parameters, as Mr. Pinder was saying, if it's over 10 or 12 absences or latenesses, it would pop up. Now you have a list that's manageable.
I do want to point out that this is for all extracurriculars, not just athletics.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm just saying, like,
All extracurriculars.
Ms. Bonsick?
I don't remember.
and I also wanted to clarify, it's on the 10th and on the 5th, unexcused. I don't want to spread any misinformation. So if you have 9 or if you have 4, you're still okay. It's on the 10th and on the 5th that they become ineligible. I just wanted to clarify that because I know there's always some confusion around what that magic number is.
So if I'm hearing all of this correct, basically we already have it. Coach Cup, we already have everything in our policy. We have everything the right way. We just need for everybody to
Procedure.
yes, we need everybody
Consistently across the 12 schools
to be
in all extracurricular
to be
activities, yes.
consistent.
Sometimes, yes. I'll just leave it at that.
I still don't agree with the 4 and 9. I mean, I understand it's in the student progression plan, and I can pull that next time it comes up in July. I just feel like
How would
it's
you- how
4
would-
calendar days.
How would you like to see it?
I understand the seat time. I understand it's double, but I just feel like if you're going to do 9, I think it should just be 9 for all. If you're going to do 9 and then the 10th, because I mean, it's only 4 days that those really essentially 5 that they could miss.
Calendar days, you're saying.
Calendar
I understand
days.
what you're saying.
Calendar days, right?
And it's been in the student progression plan for several years, is that correct?
So
No, they
this
just updated.
is some different variations of it, yes. The Nature Coast one was clarified last year. It was something they had, from my understanding, had always kind of lived under, but it wasn't necessarily in writing. And they just added it in writing last year, specifically for the situation, because of their scheduling. But they've been kind of living under that for a while, because they've had block scheduling for a while.
And before this, it didn't include athletics, correct, with the
Well,
attendance?
It did, yes, it did. It just wasn't spelled out per se. Like in this specific document, I got rid of everything that didn't talk about athletics, because this is the athletic handbook. It's not the extracurricular handbook, right? So we just narrowed it down to speak to athletics. But when you look at this student progression plan, it mentions all extracurriculars.
Right. But this didn't have specifically the dates as how many they could miss before?
This one,
Mhm.
it did.
Okay.
It did. In either, I don't know, several years ago, whenever it was added to the progression plan
Okay.
is when it was added in there. The only thing, the
I
whole,
was saying it's
the,
been there for years.
the one thing I did add this year specifically was the unexcused late arrivals and early dismissals, because that was something that was added after the fact of this document last year. So I wanted to make sure I included that piece of it. And again, just for further clarification, those are two separate buckets. So you get on your 10th unexcused absence, you become ineligible for extracurriculars. And then the other bucket is the unexcused late arrivals and early dismissals. On your 10th one of those, you could become ineligible as well.
But half for Nature Coast.
Correct.
And isn't there an exception if the principal agrees to an exception?
Well, hold on. I'm not sure. 1 second. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and review this pupil progression for unexcused late arrivals and early dismissals. I'm not 100%
And
sure on that
when
one.
it's unexcused, that means they're showing up without a note.
Correct.
Correct. And there's a lot of ways that you can get it excused. You know, I think they get 4 or 5 mommy daddy notes. You know, they have the doctor's notes, you know, dentist notes, legal notes, those types of things. Yeah.
Dr. Morris?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So, yeah, they are two separate buckets when it comes to late arrival, but I do want to emphasize this is talking unexcused absences. So, kid in Nature Coast can miss 12 days and they're excused. They have 0 unexcused in terms of being ineligible to play athletics.
So
So,
they're good to go.
correct.
If they're
That's why we're
unexcused, yeah.
emphasizing this is unexcused. So, if they're,
We got
Right,
that.
so-
My question is, if student hits 10 or 11, the principal can turn around and override it with an exception, or is that on the day of an unexcused absence? Because there is an exception in there, if I read it right, where the principal or the designee can say, well, okay, Johnny we're not going to count this because we know Johnny was doing whatever it was for the day, even though there's no note.
Right, like I've dealt with a situation where basically the principal approved the absence essentially. You know what I mean? Like there was a time where a student came late to school because of a family-related thing or whatever. You know, they had provided documentation and it was excused, and he was allowed to play during that, you know, for that day, even though he had missed first period type of thing. But yeah.
I do agree with that, by the way, as long as it's not abused.
So real quick, this one right here, the is that 9 for everybody, or is it different for Nature Coast?
so, yep, it's 10 or more
That's across
unexcused.
the board.
Correct, across the board.
For
And
the
then it's
late arrivals.
Yep, and then it's 5 or more. For late arrivals, it's across the board, 10 or more.
Miss Hawkins, yes. So
Yeah.
for late arrivals, it's not specific to a school. Late arrivals, it's on the 10th, all
Correct.
12 schools, all 12 secondary schools.
So then I want, which will be the student progression plan, then I want Nature Coast to be the same. for
For
attendance, you're saying.
unexcused.
With
Also.
attendance, the reason why is the instructional minutes. You miss a
Right.
period at Nature Coast, you're missing 2 periods. That's essentially 2 absences. So
Yeah,
the reason
but it's
for the
one
block
calendar
schedule-
day, not
Correct.
two.
but
But
we're-
I mean, I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. I
Right.
understand the importance of being there and how much classwork you're missing.
And that comes from, I mean, we have a couple
But for
committee members
athletics.
from Nature Coast who want that in the policy because they understand how important attendance is there. So they have that issue, and it's a big deal when a kid misses 2 days and you miss a Monday and Wednesday. You just missed 4 days of instruction in
school,
those
right.
Where
same classes. That's essentially a week of instruction.
So
a
if
kid
we
misses.
modified that to make it equal to the other schools for the same time, even though the class are doubled, the credits, then they are going to essentially, they will be so far behind that they won't be able to catch up.
I mean,
They
you
couldn't
miss
play
10 days
anyways.
anywhere, you're going to be behind.
Right,
But
and-
it's really big in a block schedule. If you're missing they do
It's
the
more
odd
so.
even days.
That's
You
what I'm
miss
saying.
10 even days. That's essentially 20 days you missed.
That's
in
what
a
I just said.
semester. Yeah.
It's more
Right.
so. So
Correct.
if we were to afford them the same amount of days to miss and they did miss all of that, they'd really be sunk.
You could. Again, it
Can't
depends
play
on
if
the
you're
state
failing
and-
anyways, though.
Correct.
I mean, but it was the same calendar days is my argument.
But I would still say the same thing. If they're writing notes, they have nothing to worry about. If parents are, and I get it, but at high school, I think kids have a little bit more push to tell their parent, "Hey, I need you to write a note," as opposed to a second grade kid who has no idea to go home and tell his parents to write a note.
So
Right.
by switching it to make it even and equal days, even adding Nature Coast, what does that look like to you?
It'd be 10 or more across the board. We wouldn't have a pupil progression plan ready to go before the school year starts, because now I'd have to amend that.
But that would make it,
This was approved last board meeting, the workshop at the pupil progression, which will go to July for approval.
Well, you can still, if that's coming back to us in July for approval, you could change the progression plan before it comes to us.
It wasn't asked to do so at at the workshop where it was
Well,
presented. I don't know what the
discussing it
rules
now,
are
and
around
some of us
that.
weren't here at the last workshop. So if that is the only holdback from this being changed, and we could have that change made.
Okay.
We don't have to necessarily be discussing that. It came up at a workshop. We're not acting on it today.
Right.
We'll act on it in July.
Mr. Myers wants
Yeah,
to chime
I
in.
just want to be clear about, at the workshop, all you're doing is reaching consensus. It's not a final vote. So you can certainly make revisions, and then, then it comes back to you for a final vote. The consensus is not approval.
And it doesn't trigger another 28 days?
No.
Okay.
So if you want,
The other option is we go back to what it was before, where it wasn't specifically the athletics wasn't specifically included with the attendance, and we just followed the FSHA guidelines.
From an athletics perspective, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Can I?
But, sorry, Superintendent Bender.
So I just want to say again, these are unexcused absences. These are absences that no one has written a note for, and they rack up, and this is the 5 or the 10. This is not, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm reading it, if I have 10 excused absences,
0.
I have nothing held against me.
Correct.
And then I could get 5 unexcused absences, or 4,
4.
and still be eligible under this policy.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
not all absences. So my thing is, attendance is important, and if you don't write a note, then you deserve an unexcused absence, and maybe you deserve not to play or participate in extracurricular activities. That's my view of it.
Then how about make the other schools 4 and 5? They don't get to play. Would be my
so
suggestion.
Mr. Pitter,
That's a board decision. I just
Right,
enforce the other
right.
side of
I
it.
mean, that's the flip side to it.
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
John. How many excuse notes can a parent send in without a doctor's note to excuse a child? And how many late notes? Oh, sorry, Jill. 5.
You're good.
And then how many late notes can they send in? So say you have a parent that drives their 9th grader to school every day, and every day they're late for first period. How many notes can we give?
It's 5, correct?
5, and then they're
5.
considered an unexcused absence after 5, right?
Lateness.
Unexcused arrival, yeah.
After
But
The parents can write
after
in
five,
five.
after 5
Families,
lates,
families can write the notes.
5 of them.
5 of
But
them.
after
5.
5 late notes,
It's an unexcused.
it's an unexcused absence. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Ms. Colossus
so
saying
for
yes.
like my son that drives with my sister every morning and is late almost every morning for school and spent many a days in detention because of it, no fault of his, he wouldn't be able to ever play because every morning she is late with him, almost.
But his coach might not hold him to
And
that.
well,
But
he goes to Nature Coast, so they're going to hold it to him.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, I can write 5 notes, and it's excused. But then after that, it's unexcused, unexcused, unexcused. Then he's got 5 unexcused. So for him,
But this is where we get in the weeds. Here we are once again, now passing policy, passing procedures. We're going into personal, okay, families can't get them there. So now what do we do with that child? Because it's not the kid's fault. That could become that way for every household.
So I will
Right.
point
So
out.
then ultimately, my kid should be able to play sports because if I can't get my kid to school every day on time, I should be able to raise my hand and say, I'm one of them, I can't get them there, so they still get to play sports because you guys give,
20 absence.
you guys give favor to the other parents that aren't able to because it's not the kid's fault. So now I'm saying it's not my child's fault either, it's my fault, so that my child needs favor too.
I wasn't trying to say parents' fault. I'm trying to show you that if a kid's
An example.
late all the time, you're going to get 5 unexcused absence from him not being absent. He could be 5 minutes late. After 5 of them, it's gonna add up.
He'd have 10, it'd be late arrival, so that'd be 10. that you get.
Okay.
And if you're late 15 days, I mean, again, that adds up where these are put into place because schools want kids sitting in their classrooms and learning because that's the issue is we're having kids not come to class.
And
It's frustrating
I
to teachers to
understand
see
that.
kids go play sports when they didn't see them in first period for the last 3 weeks.
I 100% understand that, but I'm saying a minute late is still late. 2 minutes late
Right.
is still late to a teacher, and they can, by all rights, write them and have every right to write them that way. But at Nature Coast, when you do this and you only have 4, is what I'm saying, or 5, it could be that this child would never be able to play because of late arrivals. Something
But-
like that, simple. Do you see what I'm saying?
So but like what Mr. Pender said, so it's okay for a kid to miss instructional but not sports. So at the end of the day, if they're missing their class time, they don't get just a hall
gonna
pass,
fail the class
and
and
they don't
not
get
be
to just
eligible.
play sports anyway.
They still have to maintain the minimum unweighted 2.0 as well.
Right. They
Right,
still
they
have
have to have the grade
grade.
point average, and they
No
have
matter
to be
what.
in school at least a half a day, according to
No.
FHSA. Is
They-
it full day now?
Ours is full day.
Full day.
They have to be in school every
So they
period.
have to be there
in
full
order
day to play
participate.
and
And practice.
practice.
That's when
I just have a problem with the 4 and the
state.
or the 5 and
5
the
and
10.
Yep.
I mean, I say make it
So we can move.
the same on the both.
Yeah.
Either way you're going to go because it's still calendar days of missing. I understand that it's academic time, but it's still
Because-
I get to miss 5 unexcused, but you get to miss 10 unexcused days,
Right.
like actual days.
Because the priority is academics. We can make exceptions for athletics, but
All right, Mr. Johnson, you have anything to say?
No.
Mr. Pender, what's your thoughts?
I just like to, I mean, I think we need consensus as to what we're doing, because right now I don't think we do. I've said my thoughts. I mean,
No, what are
I
your
think
thoughts
that-
on changing on the dates for Nature Coast to be even with everyone else?
I see both sides of the issue. I see that, yes, there are days. It's days. If you're absent a day, at another school, it's at the 7-period day. Yeah, you're missing evenly the whole 7 periods. At Nature Coast, I see that you're missing math, or I don't know, maybe that day you're missing art and
Potter.
something else. I don't know. Maybe it's not math that you're missing that day at Nature Coast. I think that, that's why it's here for approval, for the board to give their input. I believe this went, and I believe what you said is that
This is mirroring.
the
Student
when you talk to the faculty and staff at Nature Coast, they brought this forward with these days, correct?
they don't bring it forward. It's been in place for quite a while now, just to be with the block schedule. But I mean, they support that. They understand that they're on a different schedule than everybody else. So I mean, we have them on our committee. There's an attendance committee policy that builds everything with Jill's, and then I have pupil progression where we typically. I don't know if she has Nature Coast people. I do typically have somebody from Nature Coast, whether it's been an AP the last couple of years, school counselor, all that.
And it is, for athletics, it is per period. I do want to mention that as well. So you could potentially have 10 absences first period and only have 4 in sixth period, right? But you would still be ineligible because of that one period. So I just want to clarify that as well. It's not necessarily that they've missed the entire day. It's 10 or it's once you get to that 10th one in a given period that you become ineligible. And then obviously the 5th
Right.
at Nature Coast because of their scheduling currently.
Yeah, but
My next question would be, do Nature Coast coaches tell all their athletes you can only miss 4 days per semester?
It's
or you're not
definitely
playing?
communicated.
So
I know it's
that would be the
communicated.
biggest thing, to make sure that those kids know that that's it. You do 4, you're sitting. And then if that's happening, we shouldn't have a problem.
But I would emphasize with those kids, you can only miss 5 unexcused. If you're missing, make sure you're getting notes.
Get your notes in.
Right, get your
Yep.
notes in. I just want to go back to saying that why can't we just take it off the student progression plan that says comma and athletics with the days and such, and not necessarily have this burden and just follow the FHSA rules. And
isn't playing a
this is a
sport-
lot of work for our coaches, our athletic directors, and then it evens the playing field, and you're not worrying about this coach is following it, and then this one maybe missed it, or having to dig through to find out if the absenteeism, if they're,
Do you mean take the number of days out? Because if we take athletics off, then it has nothing.
I think she's saying to revert to
athletics.
the FHSAA's policy of basically saying you have to be there the day of in order to practice or play.
used to, it didn't, in our student progression plan, it didn't address the and athletics. It just said extracurriculars, but now we say and athletics.
Yeah,
So
but
we just-
isn't playing on a team a privilege? And
It
if they
is.
want that privilege, shouldn't they have to earn it and be there? And we're having a debate whether it should be 5 days
Yeah.
or 10 days.
Right.
So let's flip a coin between
you
7
miss-
and 8 and settle on a number for everybody.
If you miss 5 days of instruction at Nature Coast, you're technically, like you said, missing 10 days,
Correct.
10 class periods.
5 days.
Of like seats.
Of that period, yeah.
Of that period.
So instruction still ultimately should be the priority to me. So I think we should leave it as presented.
I'll go with that.
I agree.
Okay, I disagree, but move on. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the athletic handbook? Thank you, Dr. Morris.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Good.
Truptick.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to presentation number 3, 26-3885, review and tentative approval of the 26-27 Wilton Simpson Technical College Handbook by Ms. Dent, or Dr. Dent, Director of Adult and Technical Programs. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board chair, board members, and Superintendent Pender. With the handbook, I listed the summary of changes. We didn't have a lot of changes this year. We didn't have a lot of policy that needed updating, but we updated the letter, included a new program offering, and consolidated our appendix so that everything was nice and neat looking, and it wasn't 80 pages long. So,
Great
and
job.
Thank you.
Board, do you have any questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
It has nothing to do about your book. Your open CTE programs,
Mhm.
I think our communication just put it out, and a few of them on there. Are they open that they can enroll when?
So.
Because it doesn't say that.
So it depends on the course.
Okay.
So our programs, our full CTE programs, enrollment is still open until the first week of July.
Okay.
Our short courses, they have different start dates, and those will begin in September.
And
So
which
we'll-
ones are your short courses?
Short courses are like phlebotomy, logistics, medical lab technician, trying to think that nails program. So
Okay.
It's in a separate section, a bottom section. So those will begin in September. And so we'll update the website with those dates.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Well, thank you for your
Thank-
time. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 4, 26-3865, presentation on the 26-27 Comprehensive Evidence-Based Reading Plan by Ms. Howard, Director of Elementary Programs, and Ms. Kelly Dowell, and the Supervisor of, she's the Supervisor of Literacy and Intervention. Sorry about that, Ms. Downey. Welcome.
Give us just a second to get it pulled up here. Here we go. Okay. Good afternoon, Superintendent, Board Chair, Board members. Thank you for this opportunity for Ms. Downey and I to share with you the reading plan for this upcoming year. The goal of the reading plan is to improve student outcomes in reading, and I think after the next few slides, you'll see that we are moving in the right direction with some improvements in our overall literacy. This plan is due to the Department of Education August 1st, so it'll be back at the end of July for final board approval before it is submitted on August 1st. Part of the reading plan encompasses some salaries for some reading coaches, professional development, assessments, programs and material, tutoring opportunities, and even some family engagement that we do around literacy. Hopefully you'll join us for that event come January, the Literacy Under the Lights with Coach Kupchak, athletics. So we'll start with some data here.
Okay, so some great celebrations in our VPK world. We have amazing teachers that support our students and amazing CDAs and paraprofessionals in those classrooms, and I invite you all to take a step into those worlds. It's so exciting when you see the students learning and thriving and celebrating all of their great success. But as you can see, we had one student that made up that below the 10th percentile in the 23-24 school year, and the same for the 24-25 school year. This past school year, the 25-26 school year, we had 0 students below the 10th percentile. So very successful in our VPK programs and very proud of them. So I'll hand it over to Tiffany for the next slide.
So in elementary, lots to celebrate here in elementary. While you do see a slight dip from the 24-25 school year to the 25-26 in kindergarten, if you look historically over the last 3 years, we are up 7%. If you broaden the range and look at it. In 3rd through 5th grade ELA proficiency, as captured on school grade, all schools either maintained or improved in ELA proficiency. And in 3rd grade specifically, we have decreased the number of students scoring at the level 1. So some positive gains there for middle school, or for elementary. That continues on.
Can I stop you for a second?
Of course.
Did you guys take a look and see maybe what the difference was this year as to why the dip occurred and what areas?
We have some speculations, starting with this was the first year of a new curriculum for kindergarten, and we changed some grading procedures in kindergarten to align with the new curriculum. So that is definitely a focus area for this year. In fact, we just met to talk about some things that we can do in kindergarten for next year to support
Just to
teachers.
know if any phonics was
Mhm.
certain areas were.
I would say phonics is not necessarily the area of concern. We have multiple options for teachers when it comes to what they like to choose for phonics instruction, as supplemental to the Tier 1 core curriculum. And then we also provide a lot of different options for teachers when it comes to professional growth in the area of their own phonics journey too, because we know a lot of our staff weren't taught that way, and so they do require a little extra professional growth in that area. But we feel confident in that plan. It's just more around how are we aligning the grading that we have, and then also the instructional planning and the new curriculum. So how is that all aligning to create a targeted focus for our students and teachers?
And do you predict that this number will be in the positive next year?
absolutely.
Good.
Mhm.
Right.
Before you
Ms.
start,
Bonsick?
do you guys look at the kids that are low in our reading in our kindergarten? And do we look at whether or not they were in our VPK programs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do we have some data on that, like to show that?
I will say
I don't
that-
want to knock anybody,
Yeah,
but
no, I would say that our students, we do tag our students in our EduClimber program, so we're monitoring them as they progress through the cohorts every year, and it's not our students that are part of the VPK program that are part of the students that are
They're
struggling
struggling.
with that.
thank you.
Early intervention is key.
Yes. All right, thank you. You may continue.
Thank you. So the good news continues into middle school. We saw some great gains in middle school this year across the board. Again, in 6th through 8th grade ELA proficiency, all schools improved or maintained. And we are achieving the goals that we are setting for the proficiency, as well as reducing the percent of students at the level 1. And then when you move into high school, huge gains in 9th grade this year. We do see a slight dip in 10th grade. We expected that. Over the last 2 years, we have transitioned from students testing the course that they're in for ELA to students taking the grade level assessment. So a student, for example, who is in 8th grade taking 9th grade English, they previously took the 9th grade assessment instead of the 8th grade FAST. And so that has caused a little bit of fluctuation. And so this year in 10th grade, that's approximately 400 students who had already met the grade 10 ELA assessment criteria. If they were in this, that number would be in the positive. So next year, we will have successfully made that transition, and you'll see that in the positive. Okay.
Okay, and then the next part of the reading plan focuses on our school-based literacy teams. These are teams of ELA teachers, admin, media specialists, possibly paraprofessionals, everybody that takes a leadership role about reading on the campus. They develop reading events, they focus on AR, they look at our ELA reading data and make plans around that. They may be looking at requesting specific professional development, but these are those teams that are focused on that campus on how they're going to approach reading school-wide.
Another component of the reading plan is around reading coaches, and our reading coaches play a vital role in supporting teachers in the classroom and building teacher capacity through a variety of methods, providing professional development, coaching and mentoring teachers during facilitated lesson planning, modeled lessons, co-teaching lessons, and they work closely with administration to develop that support plan for each school. So it's not a one-size-fits-all model. It's it's in line with what the needs of that school are.
So the question was, Ms. Rodriguez, do you want to ask her what you were? Just wanted to clarify where our reading coaches are at now.
Sorry, our reading coaches no longer in the high schools?
Correct. We currently have 3 district level coaches, and I have 1 position open that's currently posted. For district level, we have 10 elementary site-based coaches, 3 in the middle schools, and then we have 2, at last I heard, high schools that were trying to do like a split situation where a teacher would have like a period off to still maintain that coaching, but then be in the classroom as a teacher. So you have that like model classroom. But that's where we're at right now with literacy coaches across the district.
Superintendent Pinder?
So yeah, I wanted to say that schools can differentiate positions. Some are to either a whole position or part of a position to try to fill in there with the ESSER positions that we eliminated.
And I believe you have a plan in place also to try to help divide and conquer.
Yes, as soon as I get this last position filled and I see the skill set and the knowledge of that person, then we can look at the 2 secondary coaches and tier the support for the schools based on that.
Thank you. Ms. Rodriguez?
This is touching on something entirely different than elementary and middle school.
Okay.
But I just want to speak it. So our ESOL students, it's very difficult, and I understand that. It's hard on them, and it's hard on the schools to bridge that gap and to be able to make them be able to speak fluently and to take these tests. And I know that that's why we have different translation devices. I think we just purchased some different audio enhancement, different skill sets so they can use that. But a lot of these students are graduating unable to read. And I know that they get passed through because their native language and where they come from and how long they've been here. So they do get to graduate. But I don't know what we could do to change things because it's such a disservice to them when they graduate and they cannot read. Because let's say they want to go in the police academy. In order to write the reports and to pull people over and to be able to document and do all the things that they have to do, they have to be able to read and write. So what happens, say they've been here 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and they graduate and they still cannot read because they came from the Dominican or wherever. Is there anything that you guys have seen as you're going through ESOL and all the different components of that might make it better for these students, or?
I wasn't sure.
Look who
Came in.
comes in.
Here.
I was just looking.
So, I mean, one of the things that we do, if I can fill in before Megan gets here, is, I mean, teachers are supposed to have ESOL strategies to implement with students. I get what you're saying. I think I just wanted to clarify what you're saying is the students can't read or may have difficulty reading if they came in, let's say, 10th grade and they're graduating in 12th grade in English.
Yeah.
Okay, because it doesn't mean necessarily they can't read, just they may not be able to read in English, just like I can't read French. But
And our teachers
think-
have to be ESOL certified, correct?
yes,
Yes.
Well, we have the ESOL paraprofessionals that help support in the classrooms.
yes.
Correct. But what's happening is, like, I have examples, real examples of students that have graduated from the high school and they were here 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade, and they cannot read. But naturally, because of the state mandates, they were able to pass and graduate and walk. But still, all in all, now that student's struggling because that student cannot get into certain programs and do things because they still can't read. So I don't know what we would do to change that, how we would be able to accommodate that and fix that. I'm not saying that no one's not trying, but somewhere for the student, we're falling short when we get them in 10th grade, you know, and they're 15 years old, and then they're 16, 17, 18, then they graduate and they still can't read.
So I would be happy to look into our portfolio procedures and the way that we collect evidence from students in that position, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Those are those students who are exempt from the state testing. The ones that I have reviewed, the student work showed rigor, it showed proficiency, but I'm happy to look at that a little further. And if you want to share with me off the record some of those names, we can definitely take a
Yeah, one of the
closer look.
student that graduated from Hernando High, he works at our establishment at our business.
Okay.
And he cannot read at all. And he's been there all of 10th grade, all 11th, all of 12th, but he cannot read. So,
Didn't we have I may have the
Mr.
acronym
Johnson?
wrong, a STAR program that was for adults that was teaching English as a second language?
We do that through Wilton Simpson. They have the adult education ESOL program to help them, but it's to learn the English language, not necessarily for reading.
Yeah, there was, my wife was involved in something which was going back in 2010 or so. I believe it was called STAR at the time, where these were non-English speaking people that were learning to speak English, both to speak and to write it.
and
And
naturally.
that was offered, I believe, in the high schools.
And naturally, I do not at all put any blame on any of the teachers because you have a classroom. If I'm an English teacher and I have 30 children in my class, and then I have 1 or 2 Spanish-speaking students, and I'm English as well, that's not how am I going to teach that child, along with 30 kids, how am I going to teach those 2 how to be able to read in English? Like, there's no way possible. So that's where all the supports come to
Of course.
from you guys, and they get all of these special classes and different things that they have to be able to utilize. But for some reason, it's not a teacher's fault at all that this isn't happening. But it would be nice if we could figure out a way that these kids could graduate, because they graduate with no self-esteem. They feel terrible because they can't read, and they're not able to now move forward and to do much of anything until they can master that. So for all those years that they're sitting in our school, it'd be nice if there was some way that they could master that and then be able to graduate and actually go to police academy. But right now, they can't even get in until they can figure out how to be able to read, because they can't write reports. They can't read the stuff to be able to pass it. So
Sure. So I think a recalibration of that procedure for looking at portfolios, what we accept, and just training the staff that reviews that with me to make sure that what we are collecting is a true marker of what the students know and shows their proficiency levels. So I'll be happy to look into that.
I agree. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. All right, okay, Ms. Howard, you can continue. Thank you. Okay, so Florida's formula for success drives all of the work that we do around literacy instruction. So we'll start here in that green column for Tier 1 instruction. And what we have listed here is the core state-approved curriculum for each of these content areas. With the exception of the pre-AP English classes, the previous ones were adopted last year and will be in place for the next 5 years.
Okay, and so our next column over, you'll see that these two columns address the areas of assessment. And so our data is kind of used to make all of those guiding decisions about instruction. And we gather that information through 4 different types of assessment. And those focus around those, the FAST testing that you guys hear about, iReady, Lexia is our high school program, and then the SAT and ACT also provide us with the information for students and when it comes to their reading. Okay. And then the last category here is our intervention. So all students are participating in the Tier 1 core curriculum. And then in addition to that, students that are in those intervention groups are getting the Tier 2 intervention. And then some students also receive a Tier 3. So they're getting 3 doses of instruction in the area of ELA.
Okay. Summer reading camp for 3rd grade is actually happening right now. This year we have 81 students attending summer reading camp supported by teachers and paraprofessionals. We're also this year offering a high school boot camp for students who have not yet met their graduation requirement. And we have a handful of teachers supporting that endeavor. No doubt we have some dedicated teachers willing to give up their summer to support some of our most vulnerable students. And we are very thankful for their commitment to our children.
Okay, and then another category in the reading plan focuses on our plan for professional development. And as you guys all know and see every day in the classrooms around our district, our teachers are the greatest asset that we have for our students. And reinvesting into them and helping them along that professional growth is very important. So we created a very targeted plan for that as well.
Okay. And then tutoring. Not too many board meetings ago, you all joined me in celebrating the high school tutors from Hernando High School who had dedicated 75 hours of tutoring to kindergarten through 3rd grade. And I'm happy to report that we will be adding that program at Wekiwachi High School next year with their Teaching Academy program. So look forward to celebrating more students towards May of 27, I think it is. Yeah. And so kind of looking ahead to 26, 27, again, I want to reiterate that we're moving in the right direction. 6 out of 10 of our VPK programs have earned the excellent rating on the metric that the ELC uses to monitor that. Our high school seniors passing their FAST ELA at the start of the school year, we were at 81% of our seniors had met that ELA graduation requirement, and as of June 1st, we were at 98%. We have reduced the number of schools that are in RAISE status from 11 to 7. And we had 320 teachers this year provide meaningful feedback on our curriculum maps, which we were able to filter through all of that, take their suggestions, and make the necessary revisions, and then re-release the curriculum maps for next year before teachers even left for the summer, so they have access to that all summer. And then in the area of 3rd grade achievement on our district report card,
it's tentative. I know the grades aren't final yet. Tentatively showing a 3% increase in ELA proficiency in third grade, in overall ELA achievement a 4% gain, and in ELA learning gains a 3% learning gain. So we're definitely moving in the right direction in ELA, and look forward to a great 26-27 school year.
Thank you. I have another question.
Sure.
Ms. Downey. How are we going to get the 6 out of 10, the ones that were not excellent? Did they provide feedback on ways in which we can improve those, or
It is
have
tricky.
10 out of 10
It is kind of
next
tricky.
year?
I definitely am not one to leave points on the table. So when we look at how the ELC measures each class across the district, they have one state observer that comes in one time the entire year, and they stay in the classroom for about an hour and a half, and they do their assessment of the classroom. So that's 50% of the score. And we really hope that what they see during that time is the very best that our teachers have to offer, and it usually is. And then the other 50% of that score comes from the students' testing. And so 30% comes from them making growth from PM1 to PM3, and then the other 20% is them making that kindergarten readiness achievement score. And although we really do shoot for the excellence, we know that sometimes there are some pieces that we just don't have complete control over. So we are adapting. We do plan every year to do a VPK Expo where we have teachers come into the boardroom. We provide them with some training. We talk about how they can do lesson plans that really focuses on the pieces of that class observation rubric, and so that we're getting the best scores that we can. So we are continuing to develop plans around that.
I would like to say that 6 out of 10 is really, I'm impressed, and I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
last
you.
year we had one school that made that high achievement of the highest ranking, and to have 6 this year is really evidence
Celebration.
of some of that
Yeah.
work that we've been putting into it. So yes, definitely. I know the principals are eager to get that. We made some banners this year, and they're hanging up on the fences around the schools that did get the excellent ratings, and we made posters for the classroom teachers to hang in their classrooms so they can be proud of that as well.
And then Ms. Rodriguez?
Out of the 50-50, when you're seeing the 50%, the 30-20 on the academic side, when you're looking at those 4 schools that we have not gotten up to the 10 like we would like, are you seeing more on the observation as the person that came in from the state? Are you seeing it more fall on that side, or are you seeing it more on the academics?
We see more points coming from the academic side, from the testing side. So that's why it's like we really need to try and capture as many points as possible from that 90-minute observation. So really trying to strategize how we can best interpret that rubric.
So
and
we're
get as-
doing better on the academic side.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering. So it's the observation.
Yep. It's just a matter of looking at that observation tool and seeing how we can capture more points in that moment.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Nope. All right, thank you. Moving on to presentation number 5, 26-3771, review and tentative approval of the revised student code of conduct for the 26-27 school year by Ms. Kalasa.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, and Mr. Pender. My name is Jill Kalasa. I'm Director of Student Services. We're here today to present the recommendations made by the Student Code of Conduct Committee for your consideration and approval, tentative approval. With me today is Mr. Ryan Wilson. He's our discipline hearing officer, and he oversaw the Student Code of Conduct Committee and has the presentation for you to review those changes.
All right, Mr. Wilson, before you begin, board, you received the outline of revisions. Do we want him to proceed and go over each one, or do we have any questions or concerns to go over with them? Mr. Johnson? Ms. Bonzik? Do you like them to go through all the revisions?
No, I don't need them to go through all the revisions.
Just let them look over it for a minute. While they're reviewing, I'll bring up mine. If we want to go to page number 7, and actually it's not a revision, but I just have a comment or question. Under interviews and investigations.
Oh, are you talking about A?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. I don't know if you want to pull it up on the screen or.
Oh, yes.
So it pretty much says school administration, which may include the school resource officer, guardian, has the right and duty to interview students who are subject or potential witnesses to possible violation of the code of conduct without notifying the parents. The identity of witnesses will be protected to the greatest extent possible. And I know that that's accurate, that we don't have to. My question is, do we or should we contact the parents after and at least let them know? I know I've had maybe 2 that have reached out to me, and they had no idea that something was going on and their child was interviewed, and they were upset that they weren't informed. So I guess maybe I'm just asking, what is the procedure normally, or should we notify the parents after a child has been interviewed? Mr.
Yeah,
Wilson?
the policy is to notify them. So if that occurred, that would have been an error on their part.
Okay. And that's every time with any interview at all?
With any interview, even if you have a witness, right? You
Okay.
notify the parent that the student was interviewed.
Okay.
And what
Ms.
is
Rodriguez?
legally, legally, you do not have to notify the parent?
Legally, we do not. Mm-mm.
Not prior, during the investigation. It's in loco parentis, which is a state ruling we talk about where we're responsible for the students and the safety of all students. So as part of that investigation, we're responsible. And then upon the investigation, whether it's a discipline or a witness, we do have to call the parent.
Okay, but afterwards, you do have to notify the parent.
Absolutely.
Because I know I've been notified
Yes.
twice, so.
Could we list it in here? Could, Mr. Myers?
Yeah, I mean, that would be my recommendation. I mean, if it's not somewhere in the policy, I ought to say that post interview of the student, the parents have to be notified.
So they're saying it's in our
It's
policy,
in some policy somewhere.
but this is this is the student code of conduct. I think it would
Yep.
be appropriate to put here.
It's
Superintendent?
reinforced there as well, yeah.
Is this something that is gone over with the administration all the time?
All the time.
Are they extremely aware?
All the time.
Superintendent Pender?
So I just want to clarify, because that first A has school administration, and then which may include resource officer and guardian, that we can interview and notify after the fact. That includes the SRO?
Yes.
Okay. And we notify whether it's administration as the,
It's
our
our
procedure
responsibility.
is
Mhm.
in any of those? Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure, clarify that.
Are you okay with adding the parents are notified after, parents will be notified after, or you?
I mean, if that's what we do, if it's in our procedures, and, I mean, I don't know if this, I mean, honestly, this wording, I don't know if it came from statute, but I don't, If that's
What
our,
do you- what
if
do you
that's our
mean?
procedure.
Yeah, what do
I
you
think it
mean
should
by
be
if that's
policy.
our procedure? Wouldn't the parent definitely get notified?
I think it's only
Yes,
proper to
I
notify
think
the
the question
parent.
is not whether we're notifying or not, because that's our procedure, but should it be in policy? It's fine with me if it's in policy.
I think we should. It doesn't mean we have to necessarily disclose what was talked about in the interview, but they
So
should
it
be
says-
notified that there was an interview
So all we need to do is add a comma, but parents will be notified after.
after. That's parent right.
Okay. So can we modify that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And then any further discussion or comments on this? Or anything else that was changed or updated? You guys want to add anything?
Was there
Second.
anything significant that you got that stood out that you realized that you had to change this year?
Yes, there's one. There really isn't many changes to the code of conduct this year. A lot of them were editorial, but there is one we feel like we should just make everybody aware that the committee recommended.
So the one that that was changed that we had little discussion about was tobacco. It was previously a level 2, but the committee decided they wanted to make it a level 3 with higher consequences. So instead of the normal 3, 5, 10, and then recommendation for pre-expulsion, it's now level 3 to where it'll be 5, 7, 10, and then recommended for pre-expulsion. The only kind of the debate that we had was in order for a student to be recommended for expulsion, they would have to have 2 level 3s. And tobacco's now would be an outlier because in order to be recommended, you would have to have 3 level 3s. And we also had the concern, and tobacco was one of them. And also, it's now the consequences are pretty much the same as if someone brought drugs to school, if not higher. Right, so drugs, it's 5, 10, tobacco's 5, 7, 10.
And tobacco is a drug, correct?
That's outside of my,
It's not
It's
considered,
no?
the assessor and the state don't
Okay.
have it classified
So it
as a
is a
drug.
drug.
Okay.
In fact, they specifically state it is not to be compared to a drug.
Oh,
And we have
But it is
ours
thank you for the
hiding.
clarification.
Are we getting a lot of students smoking in class?
vaping, right?
Vaping is the method. Tobacco is the product. It is it's hard to navigate, but between the tobacco and the THC, vaping overall is our number one issue, discipline issue.
How many incidents do you believe there are in a year?
We actually have that right now.
yeah, this year we had 307.
Tobacco or
j- j-
THC?
Just tobacco.
Just tobacco?
Yeah, just tobacco. Numbers are decreasing.
That's tobacco, including whether or not it's marijuana or not, right? No distinction.
Well, there's a distinction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime they test and it's only tobacco, then we label it as tobacco. If they test and it's considered THC, then it's labeled as THC. So 2 different things.
Which is a drug.
Which is I mean,
So it is a decrease. I don't know if you've heard them say that.
there is a decrease. We have a 3-year data, so it was at 392 in 23-24, and now it's at 307. So it's went down each year.
I guess SWAT works.
Do you have a lot of cases with tobacco, like dip-wise? Or not
That's
necessarily?
increasing. There's a lot of new products out
The
there
pouches
that
that
look
they're
like,
using?
yes, they look like chewing gum, and it's really difficult for staff to identify that because it does look like gum. But we are seeing an increase in those products being utilized in schools. But our team is doing a fantastic job. I mean, thank you to the board. We expanded that team. And our classes at night have increased. The parents attending have increased. The students attending have increased. And that with the work our schools are doing in prevention and intervention, we're finally starting to see the numbers coming down. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson or Ms. Rodriguez, do you have any further discussion or?
I'm good, thank you.
In hopes of changing the policy, it's going to decrease, right?
Even more?
Decrease even more with changing of the policy. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's the hopes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping.
I mean, that's the hopes is by increasing the consequence that it will decrease.
Decrease. perfect.
And there's one other change.
Sure.
We added a code. So at one point, we had racial slurs, et cetera, as a level 2. We actually had the vice student chairperson there that she felt like that was not good enough. She felt like she hears it all the time in schools, and it really does affect students. So
I'm sorry, who are you referring to?
we had like we had a student representative in our committee, and it was something that was brought up by her. And what we did was, as a committee, we decided to then add a code, and it's discriminatory language, which is a level 3, which will have a 3, 5, 10 consequence. And then that would be the only other major change that we had in the student code of conduct.
Can you clarify that one more time? That's a whole new
Yeah.
area, and then we're starting off as a level 3 with that.
Yes, I can bring it up.
What page is that?
It is, where did it go?
20, I have it, yeah.
Is that middle and high? I mean, that's across the board? I need to.
Yeah,
look at
it's
this
page
again.
20, it's page 22.
So just a small explanation. All year, when we receive calls from our schools, we keep notes. We keep notes on things they're concerned about or things that the codes don't quite cover, because of course you can't have a code for every single behavior. So administrators often are trying to figure out which code is more appropriate for the behavior that is occurring. So that is what led to this discussion, is that some of the codes aren't covering the language as what we're seeing in our schools. And so the committee discussed that is something we need to address with that term discriminatory language.
But just clarify though, when, say a first grader said something, the first offense, they would get 1 or 3 days of, if I'm following this correctly, right?
Yes.
1 to 3 days of OSS.
Yes, it's a range.
Okay. And then the second would be 5 OSS and 10 OSS.
Yes, ma'am.
Out of school suspension though, I think, right? That's what that is. For the very first offense, they could get 1 to 3 days.
Yes. Now, ultimately, right, it's up to the principal. But yes, for our matrix, that's what it states.
Which, with this in place, Ms. Claus, let me ask you, with that in place, a lot of our bullying that is unfounded could be put under this
Absolutely.
code instead of, and then we can stop. And it's
Yes.
not meaning that the
Name
first
calling.
offense,
Mm-hmm.
kindergartner says you're whatever, and they send them to administration. Administration says, all right, you can't do that. This is what's going to happen to you. Maybe they don't have to give them the OSS. They can talk to them. Normal kid that's never had a problem said something, right? Is that my understanding? Or we have to give them the OSS?
I mean, it's part of that intervention process. If they, depending on the age, you know, we
Right.
did add K through 2 consequences that's been requested by our elementary. So it depends on, you know, the schools. Are they mediating? What's the seriousness of it? What was said? That's all a part of that investigation on what happens. A lot of times the younger K1, you know, they will talk to them. But it is a way to, if it doesn't meet the criteria for bullying or harassment, and it's a one-time thing, and there's, you know, mean comments being
Or
made,
even if it's several
Then-
times and it's not, you know, like
it
we all,
doesn't rise to that.
we sit at bullying committee and we talk about
Yes,
things
we
and,
do.
and kids say things and then they may not say anything to the kid for a couple weeks, months go by, maybe even next year, and then next year he does it again. But that's our kind of like almost like a loophole to handle some of the things that we can't get them for bullying or harassment, right?
Can
Okay.
I ask a question too? It says, Discriminatory language refers to any form of expression directed at or referring to a student, staff member, volunteer, chaperone, et cetera, et cetera. So in that example, if I said, talking to another student about another student or somewhat, and I said that person is a bad word, so that would fall under this. I just need like examples, a little bit more. Like if I said that person was a B word, like would that fall under I'm going to get a day of out of school suspension for saying that to my friend? Like I'm mad at another person and I say she's a you know what, and then somebody heard it, and then now I'm getting 1 day of suspension out of school. That's what I'm asking for clarification.
Well, that one's captured in a different code.
Would that just be profanity?
Yeah, that's general profanity.
Okay. Give me more an
We-
example
I
then.
need examples of this, all of this, because this seems for first grade. You know how old those babies are? So I'm confused.
Sometimes they repeat
For
things that they
OSS,
hear, too.
we just need to,
But they just explained it. That wouldn't necessarily be OSS because it's up to the principal and the committee to get together in a hearing. Say, well, okay, it wasn't meant that way,
that's not what it says here. It says first offense,
but it's administered
1 to 3 days
by-
OSS.
It's administered by the principal at
It doesn't say that in here.
Am I right or wrong on that?
So there is a part in there that states that ultimately the school administrator has the final say on all disciplinary actions.
But could they could say, oh, an example that I gave you, they could say it falls under profanity, but then another principal could say, oh, it falls under this one.
Well, based off what the example you gave, I don't know how it would fall under that,
Okay.
right? So that
That's
would
going to be like, oh, you're such a,
right. So
and say the N word, and you're whatever. If they're talking like race, religion, things like that, profanity is going to be under profanity. So this is
yeah. So general
a different-
profanity just says if you say those things in presence of someone else, then that's general profanity. This is if I'm saying it directly to you. And you asked for an example. We actually did one at the leadership conference where a student called someone like said something about them being a monkey and admitted to saying it. That's what that would fall under.
Mr. Myers?
But if I just want to clarify, I think what the chair was asking is, let's say two students are talking to each other, and one student says to the second student, that third student uses some sort of racial slur. Under this policy, that student could be disciplined because that seemed to be referring to another student, even though it's not directed. It's sort of an indirect slur. Would you agree with that or not? Because it's not saying anything directly to that student. The slur is between two other people where that one of those two students uses
As it
a
says,
racial
yeah,
slur.
referring to a
Referring to
student,
a third
staff
student.
member, volunteer,
Referring to a
chaperone.
third student.
Right.
Okay.
Well, now if you're saying if they're using, well, she used a different.
No, I'm using a racial slur.
Yeah.
Where
If
two
they-
students are talking to each other, and one of them refers to a third student as whatever, but doesn't say it directly to that third student, only says it to the second student he or she's having a conversation with. That would be covered by this, right?
That would be covered. I mean, if they did the investigation and found that had occurred, yes, that would be covered.
Unless the principal decided that, hey, I don't want to see this any discipline because of whatever reason the principal had.
well, I mean, let's use common sense here. Kindergarten or first graders come in and they say things that they should never say because they've heard adults say it. And as a common sense, as an administrator, I would hope that if a kid is talking to another kid and says something, we question that child and we're not just like, oh, you're the bad. This kid's perfect any other way, but he has said something. But again, it's a discipline that gets wrote up and then they decide. And that's why we have policy. I mean, maybe I'm incorrect. I don't know.
And a lot of times, in the younger grades, they're going to be corrected for behavior that's inappropriate because they may not know better before action is taken. It's a question of how many times are they going to get corrective coaching before action is taken.
I mean, it's like this. You have a kindergarten student. Ms. Hawkins, you were a kindergarten teacher, you know. You have a kindergarten student, and he always goes up to his one buddy, and he says things and says things and says things. Or you have three of them that sit there and bully one child. But you can't really prove that it's bullying because they're kindergartners. Then we fall under this, and then we have the option to address it. where sometimes you can't prove it because they're kindergartners. They don't understand sometimes. And we all know this. Like little kids, they always
That's
say,
why
you
you
want the truth or something, go to them because they're going
Right,
to tell
but
you
it goes,
everything
it's
they
his
know.
level 3. I would just think, I don't know.
But the principal.
Level 2 going straight to ISS
The
for the first
administrator
time
has the
maybe.
ability to mitigate it. So you turn around and bring it before the principal, and if you're a little kindergartner and you're going before the principal because you said something wrong, you know you are shaking in the seat. You know?
Right.
And the principal comes down and says to do it again, you're in trouble. Are you going to do it again? Odds are you won't.
Right. Right, Ms. Rodriguez.
I do have
Sorry.
a question since Dr. Clifford, would you mind coming forward for a minute? You knew I was going to call on you.
You're in trouble now.
Before you ask
Dr.
that question,
Clifford, you're in
let me
trouble
say,
now.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, and you're the teacher in the room. What are you going to say? We don't say that. We don't do this. You're not going to automatically go to the principal. It's going to be a recurrence.
What's your thoughts?
So I hear a lot of the conversation around the K through 2 range, and I have zero experience in that space. I will tell you that we do a large quantity of Tier 1 intervention in the very beginning of the school year, and it is abundantly clear that our school should be a place of academic excellence, right? Academic, where we are pursuing common goals and we are in support of each other. I could say 100%. If a parent came to you guys and said, my child is being called X 3 times this past week, and that doggone administration does nothing about it, that would be a concern to you guys. So I think the language that they put in here provides us a space where we can absolutely do something that is meaningful, that will keep things coming to you in, at least in the overarching conversation of they do nothing. So I can tell you at my school, if you call a student a name, my first question is going to be of that other student is always the same. I bet I could ask Mr. Wilson what the question is going to be because we worked together for so long. It is, how did that make you feel? And in that moment, when that student says, it made me feel, I didn't really care because I know them, that was a whatever. Or, you know, actually, Dr. Clifford, it happens all the time and it really kind of bothers me. You know, we get those conversations when you ask that question. So for me to say this is right or wrong, or is it too harsh or not, it is all in the moment. But if we are doing or making a policy based on it feels too hard to us, imagine sitting in a chair in a room of 25 and the only person in that space who can actually say something for you is that code of conduct and that adult in the room. We need something that allows us to do that because kids are depending on us every day to make the right choices for them.
So there's your answer.
Am I okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Oh,
Of course.
Superintendent Pender.
So I appreciate that from a middle school perspective. From an elementary K-5 perspective, there is a huge difference between a kindergarten student and a 5th grade student, and I know that we're lumping them all together in K-5 under this policy. I have to agree that on a first offense, I get that somebody may say something and it may be handled at the classroom level on not this, well, any subject that we're talking about in the code of conduct. However, to me, when you are talking about a kindergarten student or first grade student or, you know, I mean, is the option, should there be an option for first offense, something other than just punitive of OSS? Like I see the one above there, parent notification, referral to certified school guidance count. I mean, I know that's it's under bullying and it's a different thing, but
You have
should
the
there be an option for another consequence besides just OSS? OSS can stay there as a, but
Isn't
that's
that
what
up
I'm
to the
asking.
principal, though, according to what they're saying?
Well, if it's in this
Not
block.
if they're following this, and they should be following this, though.
And if
Part of
they
that,
have an
the
exception,
principal
then
has
they
the
have
right
to
to
notify the
mitigate it.
teacher, correct? If they're
Yeah.
not following this.
Yes, if there's an exception, the teacher must be notified, correct.
Right.
All right.
Sure.
We,
Oh, here we go. We have a K-5.
yeah.
Coming up.
A volunteer.
Hello, I'm Lauren Schumacher. I have.
Many people ask that.
I just
Well,
looked at
thank
Dr.
you for
Clifford and I said,
volunteering.
I kind of feel like maybe I should speak because I've probably the most recent one to live this drama that we're speaking about. So I've been at Challenger the last 4 years as a middle school principal, assistant principal, and Miss Mayorini threw me out of my sandbox to handle K&1. So speaking to this, just like codes such as classroom disruption, horseplay, when we talk about students in the younger grades, we have that behavior tracking system. I know at Challenger, we would lean on that heavily before we expect discipline referrals. So my perspective of this code of conduct would be, if I'm a K1, 2 teacher, that I would be addressing this in the classroom, calling home, documenting that I had the conversation. If it continues, it goes to the guidance counselor who documents their conversation. And then after that, if it does not change, then now we're moving to consequences.
Let me ask a question.
you're
Can we
in
just add
favor of
up
this.
to?
Say it again.
Can we just add up to 1 to 3 days OSS in that block for K to 5? Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of just leaving it 1 to 3 days OSS, up to.
Yeah, we can, and there's other codes where we have a K through 2 consequence, so totally different
Right.
consequences. So we can just make it K through 2, lesser consequences, and then 3 through 5.
Well,
consequences that we see.
2 up to whatever that
Right, just say,
consequence is.
just leave it the way it is, K to 5, and just add up to 1 to 3 days OSS. Up
But I think also as a parent, if you had your child was called something derogatory, you could say, it's in the code of conduct. You shouldn't have to give them a warning. It's in the code of conduct, so you need to follow this. And she would be at the principal, I would be at the principal's office saying, right here, that other kid should be getting in trouble, kind of thing. Instead, I mean, yes, I would want to do that, what you were saying, but it doesn't have to follow that.
It
because
doesn't always
says
work
it.
that way either.
Right.
We're
it
talking
doesn't.
about giving everybody a free range to pick and choose what they want. So we have to be very careful on that as
Yeah.
well.
And it's an easy fix. We can just make a K through 2 and lessen the consequences.
Okay.
It's an easy fix.
But to clarify what was said about the tracking that you said, this is a level 3.
There is no tracking.
If a kid is bringing, let's look at another level 3. If a kid burglarizes burglary, that's a level 3. We don't track them and say, you shouldn't do that. We're going to refer you to the guidance counselor. It's a level 3. We go to this.
Automatically.
Even
If
if
it's a
they
level
are.
1 or a 2, unless
Right.
it's changed in my understanding. And if it's a level 1, we do that tracking that you're talking, or a level 2, we do that tracking. But this is a level 3. We don't, you brought alcohol this time,
It's okay.
let's
Okay, but-
talk to you about it.
So,
and let's do
so
that
I
again.
was just
So-
going to say that. But K through 5, it says parent notification 3 days OSS for first offense, right? So a kindergarten comes in with your alcohol bottle, not knowing, in her bag, gets in trouble, where we should be throwing them out for 3 days,
Right. According to this, yes.
according to this. But they're a kindergarten. They didn't know any better. That's the
But we
same
still do
thing.
that. They bring toy guns and such like
Yeah.
that and not
Yeah.
realizing, and they still get OSS and such.
I think
In many
there's-
cases.
Need to know
No.
that they can't
I just
be-
wanted to clarify that we're not
Yeah.
necessarily doing that tracking for a level 3 that
I think
you
the difference is
discussed.
the assessors, the state reportables, the alcohol, the burglary, the ones that have the asterisk, those are assessors. This is a district-created code. And that's what the committee is for. This is what the committee brought forward and worked on it, and that's why we're here
guess-
seeking your approval.
I guess let me weigh in on something else. I think instead of us looking at all of this and we're really, really honing in on 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, I really think we're missing the whole mark on all of it. If anything, we need to get tougher on the middle school and the high school. I think that's where we're lackadaisical. I think that's where we have our problems. That's what I see in Hernando County, and that's what I see on social media posts left and right constantly, and that's what I hear from parents. So I think if anything, we're not in the wrong direction, but we're in the wrong age bracket. So I do think that we should not continue to allow bullying. I do think we have to nip that in the bud. I do think we have to enforce. We have to say what we mean and mean what we say. And I think for the middle school and the high school, they do know better. They do understand what they're doing. They do know the definition of bullying, and they do know when they're causing strife to somebody or they're hurting someone's heart. They're doing it on purpose. So by all means, Dr. Clifford, I agree. When you have that conversation with that child and you ask, how does that make you feel? by all means, they're able to do that. But in first grade, second grade, kindergarten, it's a total different dynamic.
I
So
still think that
I-
the teacher is going to intervene.
Not always,
and
not
No,
always.
we're not. I
First
don't want to
time
leave it
around,
like
the
that.
teacher's
I
going to
don't.
say to the student, don't do it again. It's
But it's a level 3, so they can just refer to this and say, this is a level 3.
And the
This
parent
is what
can
I
push
need
for
to
that
do.
then, even for level 3, depending on each parent. So at the end of the day, I think we need to be realistic and understand that these are babies and that babies say a lot of things out of the mouth of babes. They've had a movie on that, all the different things they say. And a lot of times they don't even realize what they're saying. So I just think that this is really drastic. I think what I'm hearing from our superintendent, he feels the same. And I think from our chairwoman, she feels the same. I just don't, I'm not sure how you feel or what you feel, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Bonsick, but I think that you're in the right direction, just at the wrong age group at this moment. But I definitely do think that we do, I agree wholeheartedly that from middle school and high school and up, we need to get firm and we need to all stand behind our teachers and our administration. And we do need to stop this. They're there to educate. They're not there to have to put up with all the bullying. And I hear that from teachers left and right, and it's not fun for them. They're not enjoying their job. So by all means, I support them completely, and I will be behind you guys all the way when it comes to supporting the staff and the teachers and the administration and not have to deal with this. But they're too little for this.
If you wanted to break out K to second grade and make it up to, I would be in favor of that.
I don't want to go up
Third
to. I
grade-
think the whole
third
third.
graders up, I think, have a knowledge of what's right
I
or
think the
wrong.
whole third offense is silly.
So by going to a K to 2 matrix is what you're looking for with,
think-
with
Go to
lesser
K to
consequence.
2.
And if
I
we
would like
say
to
up,
see up
if,
to.
but if we say up to, they're gonna go to the highest. So if
But that
Okay,
we're gonna
then
be,
do
yeah, we're gonna have to be
offenses.
clear. We're gonna say K to 2, and we're gonna have a set consequence.
But
of
my
this is
thing
what it's gonna be.
Right, but my thing is, I agree mostly what Ms. Rodriguez says, but I also know that kindergarteners, first grade, second grade, VPK kids come in and are
Pushing the limits.
K to 5, the first offense should be parental notification.
No.
well, fifth
I
grade, you're
disagree.
getting third, fourth, fifth graders, they're bullies. They're bullies and you can't prove it, and they're very good at it, and then there's nowhere to protect that child. So again,
I said first offense. The parent should be notified that that a 9-year-old is saying a name. We're not talking about burglary. We're not talking about possession of firearms. We're not talking about paraphernalia. We're talking about words out of your mouth.
A 9-year-old should know what words come out of their mouth.
but
and what
words
to
out of
do
their
with it.
mouth cause suicide.
I can
Words out of
see-
their mouth are
I
very
didn't
hurtful
say
for little
I
kids.
didn't say turn a blind eye. By no means I
No.
didn't say that.
I say
but
K to 2 is fine in my mind.
Superintendent
we're-
Pender, do you want to weigh in
We're
on what you
okay
suggest
with
we do?
we're okay with changing the age bracket, but I don't want the kindergartens, the first and the second grade lumped in the same. That's my only thing. I'm not fighting for the fourth graders, the fifth graders. I am fighting for the babies that are 6 and 7 years old that do not have any idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Superintendent Pender?
So
I think K to 2 because most
Let's see what he's saying
if we
first.
put a K2 in here and put
You
the
You just,
a consequence other than OSS,
Yes.
would, that we say, that is an intervention with that. And then for K2, 0 to 3 days OSS, that gives you the option of assigning OSS or not on the first offense, depending on, have we taken all discretion out from a principal with the blocks that we hold people to? Because I would think that if I saw, I know you said if you have 1 to 3, they're going to do 3, but I wouldn't necessarily do 3. I would look at that situation, and if it said 1 to 3, I would do between 1 and 3, depending on what I thought was a consequence. But if we have a K2, then that leaves 3 and above, 3, 4, and 5, with a different first offense consequence, right?
Correct.
So we could
Whatever
do
that is.
Yeah. So K.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, so K to 2 would have those interventions other than ISS or OSS.
Okay.
And then,
Right,
and then
hold
my
on.
question would be,
It would be, that would be as an option, yes, but they would have other interventions.
and then
as
my
well.
question would be, again, like I said, you're a kindergarten teacher, or you're a first grade teacher, and you're in the classroom, and the little kid says something, do you automatically send that child? You've been a teacher, would you automatically send that child to the office for a discipline?
But if you don't revise how it's worded here, then the other parent.
I'm not
can-
sending the child till he doesn't.
The parent
till I've
can show
already
up and say
contacted
that
the
this is
parent
what's
as a
in
teacher.
policy.
Right, and you're
So
not following policy.
That's the only thing we,
Right,
Yes, I
Mr. Myers also wants to chime in.
I guess I would draw a distinction between bullying where a child knows generally they're being mean to somebody versus discriminatory language where the child may not know any differently, especially a young child. He's hearing this, at home. He doesn't even know that it's inappropriate to use certain language. But I think bullying, kids know early on if they're, mean to another kid. So that's just a thought.
I don't want any child to be bullied. I don't care if you're 6 years old or you're 12 or you're 16. I don't think that should be acceptable. And I don't think any teacher should have to deal with this on an ongoing issue. But when they're 6 and 7 and they're babies, it does change how we deal with it. Let's put it that way. I don't want it to happen to anyone. And I think that children, they do know what they're doing, as you stated. But when they're 6 and 7, they're so little that I don't want to see OSS because a word was said. I would like to see it being handled appropriately and the parents notified and us try to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then if it does, of course, we don't want to continue and let this child just continue to act out and to treat people, in a bad manner. But I think that this first offense being OSS, I am with Mrs. Hawkins. I just think that's a lot on a 6-year-old.
All right,
So-
Superintendent Bender,
So could you
modify it.
modify that K2, and then what would K2 say?
Well, parent notification, conference, and up to 1 to 3 days, OSS.
Okay.
Right.
Or why
And
not ISS? Why does
We
it have
could-
to be OSS?
So
It's a
we
level
could,
3.
Because it's a level 3. Can you change that to level 2
Yeah.
then?
no, we could say up ISS as well.
ISS/OSS.
Yeah, it can say ISS/OSS or a combination of,
That'd be
We do
perfect.
that
oh,
sometimes.
yeah, or a combination of, yeah,
Because you might have an 8 or 9-year-old in first grade or second grade.
It's true. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then second offense will just,
Well, and like I stated,
progress.
a lot of times the teachers are handling in the classrooms before they ever get to administration.
Absolutely.
When you're sending them to administration, it's because you've tried
Yeah.
5 times to tell this child, and you wrote an agenda and said, hey, this is what your son did today. Hey, I've made a call. This is what your son did. By the 5th time, you're like, you know what? I'm not dealing with my class no more. You're going to administration. Administration's going to deal with it.
But by changing it in policy, what we're about to do, that protects
Everybody.
that teacher as well, because it's up to the discretion. To me, the teacher is ultimately the one that has to make the decisions. But if you don't put this in here, then if she didn't do what it said with OSS, then that could fall back. So I want to protect her as well, her or him.
I think we got it.
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? Superintendent Pender? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right. And now we'll move on to item number 6, 26-3781, presentation of Dynamic Sports Performance Academy at DS Parrott Middle School by Dr. Clifford and Ms. Schumacher. Come on down.
Aren't you glad you're here today?
But I'm all fired up, and I'm right behind you.
Good afternoon, Board, Superintendent, Board Chair. With me is Dr. Clifford and Mrs. Schumacher. They are going to present and provide information on the Dynamic Sports Performance Academy at Parrott Middle School. So just to give some background, we had pulled a group together to really do some brainstorming around how to provide families with specialized educational opportunities on the east side of the county. just really put a whole bunch of things out there to see what we felt would be beneficial for students and families. And we looked at how to create opportunities to help students pursue athletic and performance development. And in the executive summary, Dr. Clifford really outlined a lot of those different pieces that were discussed in the multiple meetings that took place. So I'm going to turn it over to them to share the presentation.
Thank you so much, Gina. Madam Chair, Board, Mr. Pender. I was going to say Mr. Superintendent. I thought that sounds really strange. So thank you for having us here this afternoon. We're very excited about this opportunity to bring something like this into public education. I'm going to jump right into the slides because I know you probably have already reviewed them. Just want to take a quick note here that this data that we're viewing is coming from dual source, from Johns Hopkins and from the Florida Department of Education. And they started tracking, at least from our research, in 2019 when how many students were leaving public education to go to some alternative type of education. And through the years from 2019 to present, we're now looking at right at 46% increase in students choosing non-traditional opportunities for their students for a plethora amount of reasons. One is highlighted here because we want to make sure that the burden that falls on public education, it's our burden to bear. We have to prove and show reasons why students should stay with public education. I can share with you 100%, nobody is going to educate children better than we do. We've been in it for a very long time, and we do that process well. What parents are finding, though, is there are opportunities for their child to participate in the thing they love and also get educated. We are no longer the single conduit for students between their younger years and their future success. Multiple avenues exist. So that begs the question, why us? Why public education? So the market already exists, shown on this slide. The numbers in the very top box are from the Florida Department of Education in enrollment in Hernando County, Citrus County, Pasco, and Sumter counties. And we're looking at middle school students alone. Those are the rough enrollment numbers in those counties, and within those counties that live within 30 to 45 minutes of Parrott Middle School. Within that larger number, that second box down shows that roughly 6,000 of those students participate in some type of youth athletics. And then if we tier that down one step further, of that 6,000, 20% do additional athletics outside of just their first sport. And again, these are using real numbers that exist within 30 to 45 minutes of Parrott Middle School.
This slide highlights what is, my apologies. This slide highlights what is in our community and being provided to families outside of our classrooms in public education. So we have things like baseball, softball, volleyball, golf, soccer. Many things are available to students after school hours, and people are taking advantage of this. This shows that...
Can you go back again?
Sure.
Good.
This slide is showing that we have this trend of schools, mostly private, mostly expensive, popping up all over the country, but these are 3 in Florida, where they are combining academics with the opportunity for students to start working on their athletic skills during their school day. This highlights actual knowledge from people that I talk to on a daily basis. So family, friends of mine that I know are seeking training opportunities for their students in these sports. So a family I know going out for football/track, do both, but the training that they spend, about $4,000 a year. about 4 to 5 hours a week. That includes travel for that family. But they're having to go the distance. We don't have a lot of the outside training available close to home here in Hernando County. Softball looks very similar. Volleyball, the price is a little bit higher. The hours to drive a little bit more. And then again, driving to Tampa. A little caveat to this is I did actually have a family just last week, a parent reach out and asked if I would call her, a Challenger family parent. And the conversation was about this. I'm thinking about my student participating in an academic, a different academic space so that she can do training for wrestling. So it is happening.
As we move on, just showing the competitive advantage between public education versus these traditional, non-traditional programs. The IMG program, like those are big dollar opportunities, and a lot of people can't afford to do that. We can do that within our space in our public education forum. It reduces the need for any kind of transportation. There's no tuition cost, and it is available to our public student, which oftentimes people are leaving the public sector to be able to go to the private sector to even get this type of training and opportunity. So our vision is very clear. Our goal with this DSPA program is to attract, engage, and retain students who may have left or are thinking of leaving public education to provide something that we currently do not provide that we know for sure people are taking advantage of. So we just wanted to think, I can tell you our enrollment right now at Parrott is roughly 65 down than what we would have normally be expecting. And that's because of the K-8, and it's a beautiful thing that we're building that. We needed to build that. We had many of our students were driving far over an hour on a bus to get to Parrott. So the move to do that was timely and it was necessary. I'm looking now at where we are enrollment-wise. This might be a great opportunity for us to pull students back into public education while doing two things. We're increasing our enrollment at Parrott and offering something that simply doesn't exist right now in public education, at least in our county, or none that touch us.
Ms. Rodriguez wants to chime in.
Yes, ma'am.
So IMG recruits Division I athletes. Some of their players have already committed to play before they enroll. That's a different market. How would we weather comparison?
So that's a great question, and I don't think that it's kind of like the person that would really strive to find a really nice car one day. Like they may really want to drive a Lucid 48, but they're not able to afford a Lucid 48. They may be really happy with a Mustang because a Mustang is so far out of their reach right now. We're looking at providing an opportunity for students to actually get access to some elite training that they may never have the opportunity to be around. So I'm not looking to compete with the family that is sending their student overseas to get to IMG in Tampa. We're not competing with them. We're competing with public school students that may never have an opportunity to do anything like this ever. I think there's a large number of them out there. I appreciate the question, but it's definitely a different class and caliber of people. I don't know is there a follow-up? Your light's still on. I didn't know if I should move on.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
you may continue.
Okay, thank you. So we have three pillars. We're looking always first at academics. We do have an academic focus always. Our athletic development phase will be in the latter part of the day. It's be blocked in a 3-hour block at the end of the day. And then definitely weave in leadership. We have to make sure that we're building character, integrity, and leadership within all of our programs, but especially in our athletic programs, because eventually these students will be the leaders on their campus, a leader in their space. We know that many of the business owners and leaders even in our school participated in athletics. So I think if we don't cover leadership in this whole academic endeavor, we're falling short of its purpose.
So in thinking about how to build the structure for the day for these students, we understand that we cannot expect them to be outside practicing a specific skill for a specific sport for hours each week. So it really is looking at, like Dr. Clifford just said, the student as a whole person, as an athlete. Those leadership skills, strength training, so not just specific training, but strength, mobility, nutrition. Then also looking at their data, their growth. So where are we at the beginning of the year? Where are we at in the middle of the year? Where are we at the end? And them tracking those pieces for themselves and learning how to work through their progress. And then, of course, the academic component. The 4 core classes are still embedded into their school day. So this slide basically shows how it could lay out for a student. So periods 1 through 4 would be traditional. They would look traditional. Students would then have their lunch and then be able to go to the gym to change out. And their end of day, their last 3 periods, would look different than traditional periods. They would have assigned periods to cover certain courses, but it would be flexible depending on the day and the need of that child. So, for example, this one is laid out as a student that might be here for baseball or softball, let's say. So on Monday, they're gonna work through 3 stations, let's say. For this particular student, they're gonna find time in plyo and conditioning. They're gonna take a little chunk of sports psychology, and then they're gonna get some batting cage work in that day. On Tuesday, they'll do their nutrition, again, a little sports psychology, and then their strength and reaction time training. So they'll end up getting those periods along the way, but we can't do a full line of nutrition every day and a full line of batting cage work every day, if that makes sense. So this is gonna look a little different than what we're used to, but ultimately there will be courses tied to these things.
I think Mr. Johnson wants to question.
Student who needs extra help in science or math, do they lose those extra courses Monday through Friday, or do they got to stay late to make up the math? Or how are you going to work the students who are falling behind?
So there are components of these things that we would still work through. We understand that is an important question. But there are opportunities to fit it in within this day. The intensive supports that they might need if they're on level 1 or level 2.
And you provided a budget.
Yes, sir. Because I know it's one thing you always say, that people come ask you for things and you don't know what we're trying to spend money on.
So you're 60
I wanted you to see.
students. So say 60 students, it generates 552,000.
60 students would be, I believe 60 puts us higher than that, 1.5 million, I think.
I think that's in the slide though, right? Are we
It is. We're coming
let
up
them,
on it.
Yeah, let them continue.
Yeah, we're coming up on that. Do you have a specific question, though? I didn't want to
No,
skip
I
that.
was more concerned about, I was looking at the schedule, and I'm saying the student who falls behind, how are you going to bring him up if his afternoons are all in a different area, which is great. But what is the plan for the student who starts to fall behind? That's what I'm concerned about.
Very good. I think a big way, something that we can look at in regards to that would be pulling them perhaps out of something like sports psychology for a day, right? So they would still be getting, they may not get that piece, but they could get that remediation that they need. There's certainly flexibility within our schedule to meet the individual needs, but again, that comes back to us being able to track those students well and have that good communication with them, data chats happening often. That's all part of that leadership piece, them taking some ownership of that space. And also there may be an opportunity for self-advocacy in there as well.
Would you be doing this with all the students in the school, or
It would be tell me what with all of them?
students in the school, or a select group?
I misunderstand the question.
In this schedule, would that be all
Oh, no, sir.
students in the school?
No, sir.
or
This is
select group?
This is a select group. We're going to be asking that we go partial magnet to be able for students to be able to do portfolio to be accepted into this program, and this would be a very small subset of our overall school.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, great question.
You may continue.
So we can go through all these bullets. I know you guys have probably already all read them. Most importantly, we're at a place in public education right now that we need to redefine who we are and what we provide our families. What a feather in our cap that we have the FIRE program out at Weeki Wachee now. I know I was talking with Ed at the leadership conference last week, and what what an outpour of community outreach has happened since that announcement, and people that were considering something else for their children, several have reached out to him. So I know that we're on the right track, and I will tell you that not one individual idea will bring all the students back, but a whole bunch of innovative ideas certainly can bring a lot of students back.
How many students do you think you'll capture from this?
Our goal, we were going to cover it in a later slide, our goal would be at some point to be able to get 60 students per year. Again, we'll get to it in a moment, but a very small number of students could make this program viable. And it will also, and if you could just hold on to that just for a moment, because I want to share that slide. So let me ask you this, or present this. Why DSPA? Parents are looking for specialized training. Families are choosing home instruction for the opportunity to do specialized training. And currently, how beautiful would it be for us as a school entity be able to offer in county during the school day training that we know people are looking for?
At no additional cost to
At
the
no
families.
additional cost.
To the families.
Correct. I will tell you that we've already invested in state-of-the-art equipment. Ms. Schumacher mentioned earlier, the only way a program like this really has any viability at all is if parents can see growth over time in their student performance. Very difficult to measure. How high do you jump? How hard did you push on the ground? How quick could you get off the ground after you made your first initial impact on the ground? How do you measure those things in a way that really can be meaningful? I certainly couldn't do it with my stopwatch, right? So we've invested in some force plates. We've invested in some accelerometers measuring impact and acceleration. We have some block reaction speed gates, video analysis software, and speed detection in general, just from the initial burst of movement to passing a 10, 20, 30-yard mark. So we've invested this money already just so we can start working with our students outside beyond this program. We were looking at a way to really tie in PE and our after-school athletics to try to let students take more ownership and be able to track their own progress in their growth. So this really falls nicely right into being able to track those things over a weekly basis.
Who would be the coaches? What kind of, is it the coaches currently you have?
Great question. We did talk to our coaches, and they requested us that if we would look for somebody who could be the coordinator of the program. So they didn't feel like they would be able to step into the role and lead it in a direction and in a pace that we would be looking for. So we were able to post for a position. We did hire a coordinator. He's listed right now as a PE teacher, but he comes to us from the University of Cincinnati. He was a D1 athlete in track, and he has extensive knowledge in speed and agility, football and basketball. So he will be our lead in this program, because you're right, buying a whole bunch of stuff means nothing if we don't have somebody who's actually able to have meaningful content and work with those kids in a way to help their, not necessarily repetitions, say in the batting cage, but are they batting correctly? Is their form and technique correct? So all those things are very important. So we've already made a step in that direction by getting ourselves a coordinator who can help us, again, right now listed as a PE teacher, but would be able to teach our sports science classes. That was his first degree.
Would this coordinator have to, being one person, would he have to teach all of these coaches all the specifications of each sport and what they're looking for and how they're going to coach it?
No, that would be that scope would be far too large.
So
right
how
now,
will-
we're looking at him to be our coordinator of the program in general. As we roll this out over time, we're only going to have a couple of sports, and it depends on what the portfolios look like. We don't know what the main sport that will be sought after. As we start getting our portfolios in, we can make those final determinations as to what direction it's going to go. I will tell you that as it grows, our goal is 20 students in each one of our chosen sports. So hopefully we would have 60 students within a 3-year period in volleyball, in football, track, in our hitting sports. So it depends on what that looks like on our portfolio, but we would have to grow over time, absolutely. But keep in mind, we would never ask for an allocation that we haven't proven that we needed through enrollment.
So your growth the first year, you're hoping for 60, to capture 60 students?
60 would put us well over, that would be ideal. It's our max.
60
60 students in general.
in each, in general?
In general.
Okay, in general.
Which would be, and if you guys would hang
What's
on
our
to
number-
those numbers in just a
What's our
moment.
numbers right now?
In the program?
No, how many students? What is,
Yes. How many are in the program right now?
No,
None.
none. We don't have a program
Started
yet.
it, right.
no, this whole thing that we're creating, it's to capture students.
Correct.
So currently, what is our number of enrollment for your school?
661.
Sorry. Currently enrolled at my school,
Mm-hmm.
we're at 645 is my current enrollment as far as what they are projecting me to be next year, down from 711 already from just the K-8. So our goal, if we roll that forward 3 years, we're going to be hovering around 500 if we don't make some type of meaningful change to try to draw students back into our school.
My concern is, though, is this isn't going to be fast enough for the next, this wouldn't even be this year.
Correct. It doesn't start until 27, 28.
So my concern is our decline in enrollment and how fast this program can be implemented. And then we're still uncertain of whether it's going to be a hit or not and how it's going to look. And are we going to capture all 60? So I'm
Well,
not.
look, I'm going to jump past some slides.
Please.
Sure.
So one of the reasons why we're bringing it to the board now is to seek board approval so that when it comes time for the whole magnet application and that whole process, that everything will be ready to roll for the 27-28 school year. So communication will go out. That whole magnet procedure piece of this will be able to meet that timeline with making this happen for the 27-28.
My problem is I'm looking at it as a business owner and I'm looking at it as a financial piece.
I would hope you would.
Sure. And for me, I don't see, which we can get into it in a minute, I don't really see at this moment how financially.
I can show you on this slide. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yes.
This slide shows we're still using the 1,200 as that sliver of students that we know right now are participating in sports outside of just their chosen sport at school. If we only were to capture 2.5% of the 1,200, that's 30 students. If we take 30 students times the current FTE dollars allotted for each student in Florida, which is $9,204.76, if we multiply that out, this will be what we capture in FTE in year one, just off 30 students. And that's on a modest 2.5%.
So a minute ago, I was correct when I said the 60 students would be 552, and you thought it was going to be 1 million.
Oh, that's for 3 years. That's if once for 3 years, then it's 60.
So
I'm sorry.
I was correct.
If that's what you're after, yes, ma'am.
Because
You were correct in
you
60.
threw me off with your numbers.
Got you. It's 1.6 is once we're 3 years in.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
No,
for
I'm
that.
not after being correct. I'm after us being on the same
Correct.
page when it comes to the finances.
Understood.
But the
So
first year, you're wanting to have the 60, so it would be right. Not
We would love to
57.
have 60.
We would
The
love to have 60 to have the 5. Yeah.
the 552.
552.
But if they were to get 30, you'd be at 276.
Right. What if you got more than 60 the first year? Would you take
Even
them?
if you got 30 in the first year.
I couldn't imagine us
probably
turning
by
away
the
a student.
second year, you'd be up to 60, I would imagine,
Right.
even.
So, and that's really kind of the point there. I believe 2.5% is a very modest number to think that offering a quality program like this, where we know the market already exists, and people would love to be in that space and get it done during the school day. I think 2.5% is reasonable for us to assume that we could get that. And because I skipped through all those other slides, I want to draw your attention back to the phases. Let me see, this phase, this one right here. What we're asking for in year one is that first build-out phase, mostly equipment. We do have to do some electrical to get the batting cages up and running, so that will be a viable space for our students. So the ticket that we're asking for, the price, is roughly just over $300,000. But if I jump to the second slide again, at that moderate capture of students, 2.5%, we're not quite breaking even, but we're going to be able to capture a large chunk of the money that we're asking you to invest in year one. And
How much are you asking from us?
right now,
312.
we were like 312, 631,000. On that very first page in
Yeah, I'm
front of you,
looking at phase one.
that phase 1, 2, and 3.
Do we have students using the spots that we're going to upgrade, should I say, already?
Do we have students
Can-
using areas?
Whatever you're doing, turf, flooring, netting, specific sports strength training, is this stuff that, even if we didn't do the sports program into your school, are we going to have to eventually put money into it?
Oh, so I can
Is
show
what
you-
I'm asking.
I can kind of go back and kind of show you what some of this space looks like. This is, on the right, is what it would look like. On the left is what it looks like now. So being able to repair some of those cracks in the concrete, do these items on the right-hand side with some rubberized track for some speed training, and the 3 batting cages there on the left, on the right side. If you're asking me if these are eventual things that we need to do anyway, there are some things that we need to do anyway. Lauren met today. You want to speak with what you found from the meeting this morning?
So we did contact Florida Courts, our tennis court, our track, and the green area. Does it look green to you? Up in the picture on the screen, needs to be redone and or repaired. So he came out, we walked the premises. He will have a bid to us within a week. He is recommending that we replace most of these things. I have talked to Dr. Clifford about writing grants and things, so we are seeking for funding outside of just coming to you guys for things. But it does require me to get the money bid from him so to show these companies or programs what we would need.
Okay, another question. What about kids that are in private school right now? They would still be able to, would they be able to come in and play like they do now and pay our fees?
So I think
And
you're
not
referring
attend our schools?
specifically to the Craig Dickinson Act. So theoretically, yes, they would be able to pay to come in and use these facilities. Our hope is that we would pull students in full-time, because it is a full-time program. It's not about just coming and sitting in a batting cage. They're going to get, in my opinion, as much, if not more, in the nutrition, sports psychology, overall fitness, understanding about how our body works, from a physiological standpoint. Of course, reps in a batting cage are great, but they have to understand their bodies as well. So I think that would be a very big miss by a parent, pardon the pun, with the baseball batting cage, but there's so much greater of an opportunity for them to come in, be a part of the whole program that'll allow their student to grow, not only in sport, but in academic, which is our main goal, that well-rounded student athlete.
So how many students did you have before the K-8 opened?
About 720-ish.
And if you add, I added 2.5, 4, and 5% growth, figuring if you had 30 the first year and then you added another 4% to it, 5%, that brings you up to 720-ish, without any growth in the county. The county has 29,000 homes scheduled to be built. I mean, all over. How many of those get built in the next 5 years, God only knows. But if that comes about, 29,000 homes, and at the current rate of 0.3 students per dwelling, it's about 9,000 students. So 3,000 of them should be middle school, roughly. I'm just off the top of my head. You're going to have kids come and jump, coming out of the seams, out of the woodwork, if you know what I mean.
We also have the charter school that's going on out there. So
But the charter school is going to take 100 per grade. And even with that, we're not going to have enough room in our high schools or our middle schools for the students coming into our system. We need another high school. And
I think eventually we do. You're right. You are, Mark. I will tell you that our building can hold a little over 1,100. So we have plenty of room to grow within our building. So when you ask the question, what is my current enrollment, it is hovering just over 700, but there's lots of room for current seat in my current building. But I only share that with you not to negate your statement about us needing to build something. We
No,
absolutely
I
need to.
appreciate that.
But yeah, just for context.
Yeah, because what I was looking at in was also the growth that it's going to naturally occur within the county. Excuse me. And if you can retain a good percentage to stay in our middle schools, I think you're fighting the right battle.
Yes, sir. That's our goal.
I know of families that have removed children after elementary because they don't want to put them in our middle schools for a variety of reasons I don't want to get into. And they'll bring them back for high school.
Yes, sir.
Because we have a good high school system. So if you can keep them in the middle schools, that's a positive. And I kind of agree with something to go in that direction. The only thing I question is where we're going to get close to $1 million to fund this.
And my time, he was saying he would need 312 to start, and then
But
phase two.
my problem
phase three.
is you have general data, like a startup business owner, but at this moment, who have we talked to, who have we interviewed? I feel like it's so many hypothetical numbers. It sounds good, but are there surveys or focus groups? Is there data? I have a hard time right now because of the position financially. I know something has to be done.
Sure.
And I don't disagree, but I think doing the magnet application to predict what the outcome might look like before investing in it would probably be something that would be more fiscally responsible for the board.
Sure, please.
So once we get tentative approval, then we would really put together a strong marketing around this. And like you said, maybe putting some surveys out to families and getting that word out to see,
Before tentative approval, though, I would like to see the predictability of what it looks like after you do a survey. I would like to see some of that before an approval to move forward to spend $350,000 at this moment.
Completely understand. I will share with you if you're wanting to get that tentative portfolio out to kind of see what it would look like. If we don't get that portfolio out to parents, then we're going to miss the window to be able to even do it in 27, 28. So that was our intent to come and speak to you guys today, to be able to start marketing to see what that might look like. Even if we opened with not all of these things, but the idea that we could see if this has any true, if we could catch any kind of traction at all.
Yeah.
But I didn't want us to put something out there.
And just because the parents and the students are participating in the travel ball and they are moving and training, it does not mean that they want to enroll for 2 periods of training that a school offers. So we have to really think about logically, what do we have different? What's going to make them and capture them from stopping a travel ball or doing something that they're doing to come to your school? What's significant about it? What's different?
I think that's what he's showing
what
you on the
coaches-
screen now.
But what coaches do we have, meaning other than our regular PE coaches?
Got you.
So
Understood.
it's going to take time. I think you're in a good direction. I think that this is definitely something that could eventually take off, but I just don't know at this moment. There's so many hypothetical questions and so many what ifs, and financially, I know where this board is, and I just think right at this moment to put money in something that we're uncertain of and that we don't have the data and we don't have the surveys and we're not, and it's very unsure. I don't think that.
Well, you had mentioned the survey.
Can we let her speak for 1 second? Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. So I think one of the things that we talked about, because we had a lot of conversations around some of the concerns that, you guys have brought up, and we have to spend a little money sometimes in order to make money, right? Like some of the pictures that Dr. Clifford has in the presentation and Ms. Bonzak kind of asked about that. Like these are some things that eventually we need to replace anyway, just for our regular school campus.
But I don't think we were going to spend $350,000 right now.
Probably not right now, but in order for this to happen and really show that we're invested in this and we want this to work, we do have to spend a little bit of money.
But how much do we have to spend up front? You're saying you need to get a survey? and
It was
marketing
about $300,000.
for marketing?
No,
No,
my goodness,
for the-
we have a marketing video ready to go.
Yeah,
so
that
we have
piece, like
marketing
Chris
ready.
is the master marketer. We're not worried about that at all.
So the question basically is, you need to market it to see what the interest is. And once you have the interest, come back and say, we'd like the money, correct?
100%. But
So I'm in favor of testing the waters, putting your toe in, if you would.
Okay.
By doing the marketing and see what the traction is.
You got it.
And if the traction is there, I would be in favor of taking the gamble and going ahead. I'm sure somewhere along the line, we could maybe not approve some computer program down the line and invest some money here for a year, or maybe not, put a lot of money into.
So what do we have to do right now as far as applying for the magnet?
So,
would we have-
what the plan was to, after this, is to really put it out there. That whole marketing piece, get feedback from families, spread the word. That's going to take some time, but then also be prepared for that whole magnet process and making sure that parent doesn't miss that window.
Can we do the marketing, see the parent feedback, and then decide, like,
That's what I asked a minute ago. I said,
or
Coach Cup,
or go ahead and apply for the magnet, but if we don't have enough,
Can I?
sorry, Ms. Bonzik.
Coach Cup, can you come up and weigh in on this, on what you think, please?
I think it opens in October. That's why I didn't answer, Shannon, because I really don't know. I think they go out in October. I think we have to have it in to Miss Williams somewhere mid-July.
I'd like to hear from our superintendent for a second. I would like you to give me some of your thoughts as superintendent of this district at this moment.
All right. I have two thoughts or two questions. First, I just want to clarify that the item facilities equipment list and the multi-year plan are not two separate lists.
They are the same.
They are the same. Okay, because the total on one is a little bit less than the total on the other. Okay, so that's good news. If the magnet, when is the magnet?
So Dawn usually brings the magnet procedures, either the meeting in July or first meeting in August, and that would have to include Parrot, the procedures around Parrot. And then the window opens up usually in October, and seats are offered in December.
So if there was some sort of tentative approval at this point, we could include it in the magnet procedures in July. Magnet applications open in October?
Correct.
And when do they close?
They usually close around the
Right
first
before-
part, end of November, first part of December, and then we usually let families know before they go on break.
So
I have a question for you.
So during October and December, we would gather the number of people, the number of families that would apply to this program. And then, so up until that point of mid-year, this coming school year, you would not need
Money.
any money.
No, sir.
So what's the harm in trying?
So I guess my suggestion would be is to, if the board was to tentatively approve, they're giving you tentative approval of a concept and to market it, and then in December, come back with results before we authorize any spending to move forward. Is that?
Because I think 350 is a big investment without data and focus groups. We can't afford the build it and then they will come approach. So I have a hard time with fiscal stewardship. I can't commit 350,000 at this moment until we know. So
He's not asking you to do 350 now. He's saying wait till December. Go ahead and say
I know
for the
everything.
data.
I'm listening.
I think that
I'm
makes
sitting here. I'm listening to all of
If
it.
we get, if the data supports it, we can go forward in December.
just-
If it doesn't, we just can it or postpone it.
I just want to see what's going to happen and what it looks like before we sink that kind of money into something.
Coach Cup, can you come up and ask you a couple questions, please?
Hey, Shannon, I love that idea. And just if possible, since we're in this discussion, if by chance we end up with 100 kids interested, could we jump through to phase 2 and do phase 1 and 2 together? If we see right off the bat, we have an enormous
Dr.
outcry.
Clifford, let me say this to you. I am your biggest supporter,
I know you are.
and I will
Second
support
best.
almost anything that you ever ask of me.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do have to be reasonable, and I am elected by the constituents to be fiscally responsible. So when it comes to money and it comes to the position that we're in, this district, and already cutting allocations and cutting stuff that we're cutting, and all of the things that's happening behind the scenes, which you're privy to and everyone else
I absolutely am.
understands. So I have to be extremely conscientious of our money and what we're doing. And I can't on a whim just say, this all looks great. Here's what I do like about you, and here's what I like about both of you. I like that both of you care enough about this school for you to call and have me come there and for us to sit down, and that you two have been brainstorming and you have worked diligently and you've put in countless hours way above and beyond what you get paid for you to be able to come up with a plan. I will say that everything starts with a vision board, and what you've done is 100% what I would expect of you two to do that you don't see from other people. So for you two to care this much about Parrott and us not having to get to a position to where we have to close a school, hats off. I commend you. I am your biggest advocate, and I'll come alongside of you and I will help you do anything. I went to Parrott, and I never want to see the school close, by all means. And I've lived here for 40 years. This is my county. But I also have to be practical, and hypothetical numbers don't do it right now at this moment with the finances that we don't have just to throw away. So that's where I'm at. But I do love what you're trying. I love the idea. I love that you two care enough that you've sat down and you've tried to come up with something. As a district, I think we have some other ideas, some suggestions. I don't know if Mr. Pender has sat down with you, but there's different things that he's looking at as well, because as a superintendent, the last thing he wants to see is your numbers to keep deteriorating and you keep going lower and lower and nobody do anything.
Right.
So I do feel that sometimes you guys are frontline because it's your school, and that you're sitting there chomping at the bits going, what do we do? As we keep seeing every day our numbers getting lower and lower and lower. And I do think that it's imperative, and you're kind of like, we've got to do something. So I admire that. But Mr. Pender, I believe that you're also looking at different things, different options in order to try to help out if this isn't the complete answer.
I like this also, Dr.
It has a lot of
Clifford,
potential.
And you know, you have our support. And I think what Shannon was saying is true. We have a financial squeeze. If you can come back with the data to support that it would be successful, then we know we're going to end up making, or at least getting a return on our investment, and it won't cost the school district anything. We'll be in a position where we'll do everything we can to help you. We can't afford right now is to put money into something where we're going to lose.
Sure.
And that's what we
And you
we
could
need
add
to
60
avoid.
for the program, but what if we lose other students? So the total matters as much as the 60 who commit to something new. So
You're right,
I look at that as well.
100%.
Ms. Bonzik?
Coach, you're our athletic director. What do you feel about putting this kind of program into one of our schools? Do you think, this is opinion, do you think we're going to get the students by doing something like this? I mean, is this a calling for middle school kids to want to start there and move up to our high school level and be able to make athletes? I mean, we have made a few NFL players.
Oh, absolutely.
And
we
different
have,
things.
We have
So
several kids that have gone, standing next to a mom right now that has a girl going D1 volleyball.
Right.
So, no, we can create some big-time student athletes. There's no doubt, whether it be D1, D2, D3, they get to the pros, who knows. But it's tough for me to say in exact numbers, but I can tell you this. I know we are losing families. At what rate, at what number, I'm not sure. But I know we are losing families to those that, as Dr. Clifford alluded to, some that choose to go a different route, whether it's a virtual route or a homeschool route, where they are then afforded that flexibility and that time to do those extra reps. I see it a lot in golf is one of them, as an example. And then also I know that there are some that are leaving for some of these academies. I hate to put quotations around it, but they're kind of, I'm not really sure what they are, so they call themselves academies, and they're focused around a specific sport. Like I know there's 1 or 2 baseball academies that are around that provide some type of schooling mixed with kind of similar to what DSPA is looking to do. So I do know that that is happening. At what rate? I couldn't tell you the exact rate, the exact numbers, but it is something that families are looking for. And, you know, to me, and I've said this, by the way, I was a part of the committee to kind of go through some of this information. And to me, we have to nail the scheduling and the curriculum, which I know they can. We have to nail, to Ms. Rodriguez's point, we have to nail the personnel that we have running these, and we have to nail the facilities. That's how people are going to be attracted to this and don't want to buy into this.
And Mr. Johnson wants to interrupt you, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if my vision, what I'm hearing and thinking I'm seeing goes along with what you're doing or want to do, and I think it's a fantastic idea. Would that eventually lead to a specialty high school that excels in sports? And would that be viable as an academy in Hernando County where we could offer a sports program specifically for the athletes to go on to college and to participate in college sports, especially those dangerous sports like golf?
I would just like to also add my 2 cents. I feel like we are in a competitive state right now. We are competing with the private, with charter, and really families are trying to figure out what is best for their child. And this is unique. It's not an option in Hernando County. That's why I do love the idea, because there's not there. You can send your kids to theater and the arts, but there's not sports driven. And I think that if we do nothing, the numbers will just still continue to go down. And I think that if we allow us to try and see and come back in December, I think that that would be the best solution to make an informative decision on this. So, Ms. Rodriguez, do you have more? Mr. Pender.
I think that's exactly what we just came up with.
Yep. All right, super. You finished? All right. So do we have a consensus to move forward and then see you back in December?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for your hard work.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys.
I
Thank
won't
you.
take your toys today.
Okay, please don't.
Okay. And now we'll move on to item number 7, 26-3561. Review of Springstead High School Beach Volleyball Court Naming Rights Agreement by Mr. Kupchak.
Good afternoon again. Just wanted to present this contract. This is something we've been working on for quite a while. This is pertaining to the beach volleyball courts at Springstead High School. The partner in this is Chambers Law Firm, a really strong, reputable, longstanding law firm that's been in our area for close to 10 years. They're accredited, BBB accredited since 2019. They are heavily involved in our community with youth sports, with Jericho Road Recovery. They've also been involved in some other community-based organizations. And one of their members was actually the president of the Hernando County Bar Association in the past as well. So on top of that, what they stand for, what they kind of, I guess, you know, what they're known for is their veteran-focused legal practice. And they fight for our veterans and different cases that involve, you know, their coverage or medical bills, things of that nature. Like they're really focused on our veterans. So it was definitely an easy, an easy group to get behind, to put a name on one of our facilities. It's a 5-year contract, and they would then have an option for an extension after those 5 years, and the price would go up every preceding year. Basically, what this includes is a sign physically placed at the facility that they will be responsible for, as well as any time the excuse me, as well as any time the facility is mentioned, like on a district social media post or on a website, or anytime there's press coverage, it would be listed as the Chambers Law Firm PA beach facility at Springstead High School. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else this really includes. There's a lot of other caveats there. Obviously, if they were to fall out of good standing, we would have the ability to remove the sign and terminate the agreement, things of that nature.
All right, I'm going to stop. Misty,
Yep.
do we have any questions regarding this?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Johnson
I have a
does.
lot of questions about it. Chambers is an excellent law firm. By the way, they handle disability and workman's comp cases.
Yes.
And get them through more than veterans. Veterans are in that group, definitely.
Yes, sir.
Good work. Definitely a reputable firm. Who was the committee that reviewed this application and looked into this?
We had, president, principal at Springstead High School, the athletic director of Springstead High School, the head coach of the volleyball program, myself, Mr. Reagan, and Miss Denise Kelly from finance.
Denise Kelly from finance. Are those, Mr. Myers, are those the people that are required to be on that committee? And it bothers me that this whole process, from the beginning to end, has been so fakaki. Do we have a final accounting on this project? And was any of this money used to build the courts?
Yes.
So this money was used to build the courts before we approved the name being on it?
That's a separate piece, but yes, it was except the money, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a Springstead project that when I was at the athletic director at Springstead, we kind of started the seeds, right, planting the seeds when it came to getting tentative approval to utilize that site for the courts. And over the years, they raised money as a volleyball program. And over those years, they were searching and reaching out to our community to try and find a matching sponsor to help build these courts that are sorely needed. And once they found that sponsor, and then they also found some building partners that were willing to, do a lot of volunteer work.
I was told that LaRocca did an in-kind donation of $25,000 to build those courts. He was not paid. Is that true?
Part of those courts were in kind, yes, part of those courts. Now, he was paid for some of the work through the
Did anyone ever ask, did he not want his name on it either?
on the sign. He does not want naming rights. He just kind of wanted to be acknowledged. On the proposed sign, it just says thank you to our building partners.
When he does not want naming rights?
No.
Did somebody ask him straight out, does he not want that named after him?
Correct. That was never something he wanted. It was never something that we talked about.
No, you may not have talked about it, but now that somebody else is going on there, did he ever get asked, would you like to go on there as well?
We never had that conversation. I never asked, he never asked.
We should have asked that right now?
In the entire conversation, it has always been he wanted to, as long as there was
But
acknowledgement.
he didn't get asked. If he wanted acknowledged on that piece of paper, I'm sure if he was given the option for it to be named after him as well, he probably would have said yes to that. I thought that his company, I thought that man went in there and did a lot of work. And
Oh, absolutely. They did a tremendous
and
job.
made this whole thing possible. So
It was all three pieces that made it
right.
possible.
So I don't understand why he's not part of it.
He has not been he has not asked to be a part
He
of it.
hasn't been asked.
But now, who came? Did
But I guess at what point do
did
we?
Chambers come to us asking to be named after they made a donation, or why didn't that all come out at the same time? That we should have approved this. I think this
Well, the
do we have
donation.
an accounting on this
the-
project?
Can I answer a couple? You
Did
threw a lot of
Chambers come and
questions at
ask
me.
you for that, or did you ask them?
I would have to check with Springstead. I'm not sure if because I know, for like I said, for many years, throughout this whole process, they have been trying to seek community partners to help make this happen.
And
So
I
I'm sure
agree.
they've asked several
I
different
think they're
businesses.
wonderful, and I think they're a great law firm as well. No problems with that at all.
Mhm.
But I do think that LaRocca put in his sweat equity, and he should be on there as well.
He has agreed to the sign. He
But he
has.
was never asked. If you don't ask us, do you want Dynasty Collision and Auto Repair to be part of it? If I'm not asked, I do things from my heart, and I do things because
I guess
I care and I'll help out. But
I
if somebody
understand that.
asks me, would you like your name to be on there? I'm not going to stand up and beat my chest and say, put my name on something, nor most humble people don't do that.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, LaRoccas are humble. They're not that kind of people. They're
They're
not
great
going to come
people.
to you and say, you left me off. They're not even going to say a word. Inside, internally, when they see all this, they'll probably say something inside amongst themselves in their own privacy of their home. But my thing is, why not shine the light on somebody that did something great for us if it was both parties and put both of their names on
Well,
it?
I feel like we have in a lot of ways. When we did the groundbreaking, we made sure that he was there and represented and spoken about, and in the press release for that as well. And then as far as the sign goes as well, and I've been working. One second, sir. We have been working with him throughout this entire process, and the entire time, this has been the plan. This has been the discussion. And he has never shared any
This has
discontent.
been the plan the whole time. Why is this board finding out about it at
And-
the last minute? I would like to see an accounting on this project. That's what I would
Sure,
like to see.
absolutely.
Can you show us the sign again? Can you hold up the sign again?
This tonight. I don't like it coming on the board and being on
Yeah.
the agenda tonight, coming before us.
And please understand, like I said, this was a Springstead project. The team raised the 25. The money from Chambers was given to the Ed Foundation for this project. And this is every step of the way, as I've mentioned to several of you about this project, every step, this is the first of its kind.
Then we need to do what's right, and we need to put LaRocca on there as well.
He is on there, though.
No, we need to name it, both of them. They both should have that name. They both did it. LaRocca, this couldn't be possible without LaRocca.
Agreed.
Didn't go in and do this physical
But I guess at what point, respectfully, at what point, like, who all do we need to ask? Right? When is
Who all?
enough
There's
enough?
not all. There's two people.
No, there's Keeler Fencing, there's CMEX, there's LaRocca Contracting, there's every person that helped
But
raise
who
funds
Did
for
CMAX
Springstead
give
volleyball.
their products for free? Do we get the cement for no cost?
We got the sand for no cost.
The sand. How much is the sand worth?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall, sir.
Okay.
I want to
would
say
like
it was
to
worth
get an
about
account-
25,000.
I would like to get an accounting on the project.
I will
I don't want to see that.
I will work with
Who
Mr.
did
LaRocca.
who built the courts?
Mr. LaRocca
There
was
you-
the lead.
there you go.
And then there
But-
were other companies that came in to work alongside.
Superintendent Pinder?
So far, I think the direction from the board, if my notes are correct, is that they would like LaRocca, Mr. LaRocca, to be asked, and they want an accounting of the donations. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other
Ms. Bonzik?
direction?
No, the only other question I had was to Mr. Myers. I don't know who the three people over, who is required by statute to be on that committee?
Well, it's actually by your policy. You have a policy called commercial advertising and granting naming rights. And I just need to read the definition of naming rights and consideration, because I think this is part of the discussion. It says naming rights and consideration is in consideration of financial contributions, sponsorships, or other commercial transactions. Naming rights may be granted in return for provision to the district of any appropriate financial contribution or sponsorship, including provision of or supply of equipment, materials, land, or services. And in terms of who's supposed to be on the committee, it says the committee, it's solicitation naming rights with the intent of securing financial contribution and subsequent granting of such naming rights are at the full discretion of the school board and in partnership with the Education Foundation. A committee shall be convened to include the school administrator, school athletic director, district athletic director, business services division representatives, and operation division representative to make a recommendation to the superintendent.
And that's exactly who was a part of that committee.
How many
Ms.
times
Bonzik,
the
did you
committee
have a comment?
Sir?
How many times did that committee meet?
Off the top of my head, I believe 3 or 4 times. I'd have to go back and check. It's been a while. This process started in 2023. And as I said, we've been kind of learning as we go. I'll give you a perfect example. Part of the reason why this contract is so delayed is because when I started doing this contract with Ms. Mokler, she then told me that the sign had to be a part of the contract. I said, okay, so now let's design the sign. So we go back and forth with Mr. LaRocca and the Chambers people and going around and around and around. What is a good sign? So we get the sign. I said, here's the sign, Ms. Mokler. And then I present it to the facilities as well. And the facility says, well, in order to approve this sign, we have to have sealed signed documents from an engineer on this sign. Okay. So now, so literally every step of the way, it's prolonging, pushing this further and further down the road. Because, again, this is literally the first time we've done anything like this. So at every point along this road, I've gone to facilities, I've gone to Safe Schools, I've gone to Cabinet, I've gone to Finance, and I have gotten their advice
But you
and
know
their
who didn't know
understanding.
about any of this? All the way through? The board.
The board.
And
that's what's wrong.
So
with this.
I want to say something, and I want you to answer this. Who, out of the dais up here, who do you feel is one of your biggest fans?
I think all you guys are my biggest fans.
And
But
who-
Ms. Rodriguez, I know we have a tremendous relationship, great
So with
communication channel.
With that being said, by no means do I want you upset. Do I want you to leave here feeling, I'm just asking you some questions and I want you to understand that if I have to understand it from your perspective, I want you sometimes to stop and I want you to show some grace and say,
Oh,
I have to
absolutely.
see how she feels too, or how Mr. Johnson feels.
100%.
So I don't want you to leave aggravated. I want you to sit and say, rightfully so, these are questions that she has every right to ask. At the end of the day,
I feel that way now.
okay, so understand that I'm your biggest supporter, 1,000%. I believe in you. I don't think you
appreciate
do
that.
anything on the backside that you
So do I.
that you shouldn't do. But what I do think happened was, like you said, it's a learning curve for everybody. And I think by no means did you dismiss us. Did you try to do anything shoddy? That's not who you are. But
you.
but it did come across that we knew nothing. You know that. You know the whole. way
Sure,
it's handled.
and like I said, along the way, I was never under the impression it was something that had to come to the board, and I apologize because.
But it's not even a have to sometimes. I just
Sure.
want you to understand that when people are bringing things to us out in the community and we know nothing and we have not been privy to any of the conversations and we don't, it makes us look like, what do you mean you don't know nothing about these courts? You don't even know that they're going up? No, we didn't even know that.
And I will say, and I'll throw kudos to Mr. Crognally. Through this process, he has kind of, at the end of this, I should say, he's put together a new checklist, if you will, or rundown of what each step looks like, who needs to be involved in each step, and at what point do you go to cabinet, at what point do you go to the board, and so on and so forth. Because, as I'm sure some of you know, there's other schools that are chomping at the bit to do this very same thing. But now, because we've gone through this guinea pig, right? Now we know what this process is supposed to look like, and we can build these partnerships within our community to help make some of these facilities happen that we, quite frankly, don't have the funds to do right now.
Sure, and I'd like to be proactive and not reactive to the point that if we don't have this conversation, and I unfortunately have to communicate this to you
Sure.
with them here because of Sunshine Law. So I have to do it live, and that's a bad thing. I hate the fact that we have to air our dirty laundry out sometimes sitting up here live. It would be nicer if we didn't, but because the whole board's here, they've not been able to hear my heart on this. And unfortunately, if I don't ask these questions, and then we hear, just hypothetically, that they felt slighted, they felt left off, or they were never asked, I don't want to then say, well, I thought about that, but I just didn't say anything. I'd rather have this discussion with you, put it out there, talk to you about it, so that we don't have any bad blood for a construction company who offered to come in and render
Tremendous
their
work.
services.
And I have
Render their services to us to do something hospitable that was very nice of them.
No,
And then
absolutely.
we never considered it.
and I have a great relationship with all of them.
Dustin, if I can stop and just
Yes, ma'am.
just chime in here, because Danny LaRocca is part of my family. He was aware. He does know. He is okay with what you have on that paper. I have it all here in text for if anybody wants to see it, and he is fine with that.
If he had ever expressed anything to me otherwise, I would
I
have
just
changed.
wanted him asked. I would be remiss if we did not ask him again
I have
and
spoke.
make sure.
I have spoke to both him and Michael, which coaches at Springstead Wrestling. Chris donates. Chris helps me donate. He donated to.
He's on the scoreboard.
That was the thing. They would be on the scoreboard, different things, because yes, the La Rocas do give a lot of money to our schools. Their kids play sports for us, 100%. So, but I just want to, so
But
you
as a
know.
board member, I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't make sure that he was at least acknowledged and asked, would he like to be before we seal the deal?
Yep,
That would
and he said he is okay. And I texted him and made sure. I said, "You're okay for me to speak?" He said, "Yes."
Right, Superintendent Pinder?
So that was new. That's new information. That kind of threw my list off here. But so right now, I had asked the La Rocas, one an accounting of the amount of donations and money in the Ed Foundation.
Sure.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about the process moving forward for next time. So what Mr. Kupchak was alluding to is on, I believe it's I think it's the July agenda workshop. We have another school coming in that wants to do this same process. So new process moving forward with these courts and this type of situation is that they've done some preliminary work, but before our donors put any money into the project at all, any like drawings or engineering or anything like that, we're going to come to the board, we're going to present everything from beginning to end, and or as close as we can get with naming rights and contract and what all that looks like. And if the board's okay, we'll move forward. Then the school, the donor, will move forward in the project, and they will get those plans. They would invest some of that money or in-kind donations. That process would start, and then we would come back into the board before construction starts. And then at that point, the process should be good, and then at the end, it'll just be, we'll just put everything on the board agenda and sign it, or, you know, and when it's all finished. So that's the process moving forward. I want to make sure that, and I don't think anyone here, I just want to make sure that the donors understand that this board and this superintendent, this athletic director, this school district appreciates their
Absolutely.
work, and
It's
their
not possible without it.
contribution. It's not possible without them. So I
Enough,
don't want
I'm
that.
fighting to make sure all their names are on it of
Yes.
whoever should be acknowledged, because I appreciate it so much.
I just don't want any of the discussion to, you know,
Okay.
make them feel any different, because I don't think they do. I think they understand. I just wanted to clarify for everyone that we appreciate them. And so if that's the direction, and you want an accounting, what about it? So does that mean that we're removing it from the, do I have consensus to keep it or move it on, or remove it from the agenda?
Mr. Myers wants to chime in before we.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what complicated this is, and I reviewed the contract, is the signage part. So you can have an agreement where it's just naming rights, where there's no signage or anything like that. But this particular agreement includes signage, which requires more people to sign off on it. But in many cases, what a commercial establishment wants is simply the naming rights. You know, they don't want signage or anything like that. So you can do it either way. In this case, you're doing it, you know, signage and naming rights. You can just do strict naming rights, and then the policy also just contemplates advertising. But there's nothing wrong with this approach. But you could have another contract that comes before you where it's just strictly naming rights, where there is no request for signage. Because with signage, you have to bring in more people, and the agreement says that they're responsible for the construction of the signage and the maintenance of the signage.
Correct.
So, but like I say, that created a wrinkle, you know, that ordinarily doesn't exist in naming rights agreements.
So is it better to remove this from the agenda tonight, bring back the budget,
Yes, I would like it
And-
removed.
See, I don't see why. We're already
Ask.
there. We've already
I would like
done
it
the job.
removed. I'd like to see the budget and the numbers before we proceed.
What's that going to do?
Yeah, what is that going to change?
See it.
You
I
could
wanna
still see
I
it.
want to see what the actual
You
cost
can
was.
see it though.
And where the actual
tonight.
monies came
He
from.
can show it to you later.
He doesn't have it.
I'd have to go, I'm not sure if I have it or Dr.
Okay, I
Mr.
guess what I
LaRocca
want to
has it.
ask is the job's done.
The job is
Correct.
done, right?
So what is
Correct.
that going to do by tying this up
I would
longer?
like to see where the monies came
And you
from,
should.
when they came from, what they were used for.
And
I can
When-
tell
when
you
did this
that,
sign- if he made a
What is
made a
that gonna
donation
do?
2 years ago for the building of the court, and now he's coming back 2 years later to get a naming right, it's kind of crazy. That should
well,
have been all tied
it's not
into
like
the
this
same-
just happened
I would
yesterday.
to
Like
see
this,
the
But what's
accounting.
that going to do?
this has been a long
I'd like-
process
is-
to get
but-
here.
but
So what's the difference? What's the rush about? What's the rush about doing it tonight? Is there a time limit? We can't wait
I
till.
mean, the one thing I will say is, and I'll
That
respect
ship has
your
sailed.
wishes.
There's nothing any more to do with that. You can look at it until the cows come home. I don't care who looks at it. We all can look at it. Every constituent in the county can look at it. But it's already done. It's over. It's done.
The money's
I-
been
I-
paid and it's been agreed upon.
So there's no reason to hold this man up for any of that.
Well, I would like to wait and take a look.
And
at
I
it.
would-
I would like it removed. She'd like it on. So that's that.
I'm good with keeping it on.
I'm good with keeping it on, too.
Let's keep it on.
So we'll keep it on for approval. We'll still
I'll
ask
get the accounting, yeah.
LaRocca's and get the accounting.
Please
Yes,
give
sir.
Mr. Johnson what he would like.
Absolutely.
You don't have that.
And so we got it. You're good.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
work with him on that
All right.
if I don't already have it.
Thank you to the donors, and we'll have a
Absolutely.
new process
And
moving
Coach Cup,
forward.
thank you for all that you
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hopefully, like I said, hopefully we've all learned a lot from this, and we can get more of these coming in the near future.
Okay, and
Thank you.
due to time, we're going to move on to number 8,
Oh,
26.
Coach Cup, we need one at every high school.
I'm trying. We got
Working on it.
two on the works already, so
Okay.
we'll get.
Item number 8,
Dynasty
26-3881.
Collision could do one at Wikiwachi.
Presentation of the adoption of K-12
Your
world
talk, your
languages,
mic's not
health,
working.
and physical education instructional materials by Dr. Morris. Welcome and be fast.
Good afternoon. I can make this simple for you. Basically, we're going through adoption for 9 through 12 world languages. We offer Spanish at all 5 of the high schools and French at 1 with Central High School. The other one, which is much needed, is we are adopting health in middle school for the first time since 2013. Not by any fault of our own. The state just hasn't put anything out since 2013. And it's much needed. As well as Hope for one of the high schools, and the other high schools offer personal fitness. So we're adopting a Hope textbook as well as personal fitness for the other high schools. You saw the slides already. They're brief, very brief slides, one slide presentations to kind of show you the overview. They all integrate with Canvas. The one thing I just want to point out with the health and the Hope, as well as the personal fitness, it is up to date with some of the required instruction that we now need to go over in health. People ask about sex ed. It's not sex ed anymore. It's really, it's healthy family lifestyles. People ask about abstinence. It's not promoted that you should be abstinent. Kids are now educated on the only way to prevent certain things, pregnancy, STDs and such, is to be abstinent. It's not telling you have to be abstinent. So those things are all updated within these programs, these new adopted textbooks and such. World languages, and they're all state approved. So I always emphasize that when we go through these adoption committees, I only select from state approved list. Only once in the last 8 years have I gone off the list, and that was for one high school elective for math because we had no choice but to go off list for that. And that was 4 years ago. Do you guys have any questions with either one of these?
Board? No? Okay, great job.
All right.
Thank you. All right. And at this time, Mr. Myers, do you have any closing comments?
No comments.
All right, board, do you have any closing comments? No? Superintendent Pender? All right,
Done.
and with that, this workshop is adjourned at 4:58 p.m.